Hi guys, I'm going to swap phones with Dave Mannell in a minute, and hopefully the stream is better than Dave's. Is it? I don't know. Maybe one of you guys can tell me. Just give us a thumbs up if the audio and the video is better than Dave's. If it is, I'll swap phones with him. I mean, it should be better, but I don't know. It's a bit windy here, so apologise for any of the audio, rubbish audio. So here's Dave here. We've got Harry's over there in the yonder. We've got loads better. Well, that's good news. Okay, well I'll swap with Dave, and then everybody hopefully can come off the other channel. If anyone could go into the other channel and put a notice there that we're swapping live streams. He may have actually stopped. I don't know.
Because on a flat Earth, thank you.
Swap with that one.
On a flat Earth, you are the center of that. Actually, it puts you individually as like almost the center of your own universe. And I don't mean that in a grandiose way, but that actually each of us are equal in this earth, on this earth, and we were almost put here by our higher self to come and have an experience of self, because your higher self can't have senses and touch things and taste things. Yeah, so you're coming here for it seems to me anyway, from now years of coming out of atheism into realizing the truth about who we are, is I feel like we are having this soul experience, but that's been hijacked or intentionally been made difficult so as to see whether you fall foul of the 7 deadly sins and you get lost in this crazy world, or you remain true to nature, true to God, true to whatever divine intention set you upon this place. But you should be, and both of you, each of us should be the king or queen of our universe, and that no one should be able to harm you, and that everything in this world should be like nature is naturally predisposed to taking care of you. You know, you put some seeds down, orange trees, and in 10 years' time, you've got an orchard, and she's producing enough food for you and your family if you do it like that. Well, nature is meant to be abundant, not restrictive. And in our material modern world, everything is about restriction, limitation. You can't go here. This time of day, you're not allowed to move out your house. Now you have to wear a nappy over your face. Now you have to do this in order to keep a job. And all of these sorts of things are, and taxes, and all these things, and licenses, there are restrictions on you that so long as you're not going out and doing harm, the golden rule is to not harm somebody and their stuff, you know, so as long as you're not doing that, you should be the ruler of your world, the king of your world, and be able to travel freely or express your creative essence freely without being a constant slave to other people's information or other people's control. And that's what we've given away by our mastery, by accepting that we're just evolved apes that are lucky to be here, and that there's going to be an asteroid or a UFO strike that's going to take us all out, and we need big daddy government and mommy medicine to care for us, rather than trusting Mother Nature and saying we can go outside and eat healthy food in our orchard, and that way we do not need big daddy government and mommy medicine. We can create our own energy sources, all these sorts of things, but we don't need the grid so much. So that's why I go out and tell people, because I think that we've had our true inheritance stolen from us, all of us. I'm not angry about that. It is just the way that it is here. But if you know that and you live your life with that knowledge, honor yourself, honor creation, honor nature. If you live in that way, you're going to live the best version of yourself. But if you're, that lady's really, that lady's not enjoying it. Wow, I'm sorry about that. Wow. So, but we're trying to spread a message of love, that we are actually meant to be free, not constantly under attack.
I can tell you you're a fucking prick.
Wow. So
yes,
that's not very nice.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Wow.
Yes, I can.
All right, well, thank you for sharing with us. Aziz.
Did I give you my flyer?
Yes, I got one.
You've got that one. And you can say this one's on electromagnetic you. I think you are the center of the apple. And you are micro to the macro. So what goes on in you, the energy centers in you are represented by Mars, Mercury, the sun, and that's all connected. We are interconnected.
I know
So-
you. I know what you are.
Have a good life.
Thank you.
Lovely to talk to you. All the best. All the best. Thank you.
You are disgusting.
Wow.
You are terrible. I don't care. You are disgusting. Writing your bullshit all over the street, putting your bullshit signs up. You are the disgusting one.
Tell us
You
why.
are why?
Tell us why.
Because you're spreading lies.
Which part of it is lies?
All of your
Tell us,
bullshit
tell us.
is lies.
Tell us which part.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
engaging
you
in a
say blah, blah,
conversation
blah.
with a
Tell
fucking
us.
cock.
It's terrible.
I know exactly what you are.
Brian Cox.
And you're another one.
Yeah.
You all need to take your lies and fuck off.
Which is the lie you want us to fuck?
I just said which is the lie. Which one?
You are a fucking lie.
Which
You
one?
are a lie.
Okay, what?
You are full of bullshit and you come into my city, you come and bother all of these people with
a
your
lot of people
bullshit.
have the intelligence. and
Oh
yes,
really?
they
Oh, you're
talk to
doing
us.
that one, are
They
you?
talk to
Oh,
us.
they have the intelligence to talk to
They
you.
talk to us and
You
say-
are mad.
and
Why
say-
would I talk to delusional mad people like you?
And that upsets
You're
me
a
so
fucking
much.
prick, and you shouldn't be doing this. It's awful what you're doing.
Okay.
What is
Awful.
What is it you object to?
You coming here and telling lies with your bullshit signs and your bullshit all over the
Earth is
floor.
flat. We can't prove that we
yeah.
live
Oh,
on a
the
globe.
earth is flat. Oh my
Please
god.
tell the world the Earth
Oh
is
my-
not a spinning ball. They've lied to
Oh
us about
my
that.
god. You are delusional and you're insane and you're the kind of people that are dangerous and cause division in society. You are the problem. Me calling you a fucking cock is not a problem. You spreading lies and causing social division. You are the fucking problem.
We're challenging the BBC,
Oh, fuck
National
you.
Geographic,
Fuck you with your
your
challenging the
government.
BBC
Absolutely.
bullshit.
Because they're
no,
all
fuck you.
in the same
no,
aim of
because
deceiving you.
are people that divide other
don't-
people.
you don't- no.
are the problem.
No, the division is.
You are the fucking problem.
We're challenging
No,
division.
you're not challenging anything.
Absolutely.
You are not what you think you are.
Absolutely. The Earth is
I know
flat.
what you are.
The Earth is not a spinning ball.
Oh my God.
You've been lied to about where you live, people. You do not evolve from monkeys. You do not
They're
evolve from apes.
anti-evolution. You're actually
anti-evolution. Evolution
you are
is a scam.
dangerous. You are dangerous.
The theory of evolution is theology. You are
bunch
caught
of
in a
fucking
religion.
cocks.
Where's the proof?
This lady believes she evolved from apes, and I can't help her.
Apes.
You evolved from
There's
apes.
a fucking fossil record. You fucking turnip. What's wrong with you?
This is how people
What
behave.
is wrong with you?
This is how people behave.
Why are you telling lies to people?
You
It's
cannot
wrong.
evolve from an ape. There's no evidence that you can evolve from an ape.
Anti-evolution.
If you believe that you evolved from an ape, you have been brainwashed and indoctrinated by a system that is owned by the same government and the same religion that you stand against. The Vatican is right behind evolution. Let me assure you that the Vatican's
The Vatican?
fingerprints are
Why have you
all
got the
over
Vatican
it.
into this?
Because they want to keep you low. They want to keep you low. They want to control you.
See what
They
these
want to
people are
have you
doing.
a good slave.
See
And if
how
you
they're
believe
turning
you
people
come
against
from
each other.
monkeys, then you are
Say
easy to
something.
divide.
Don't
You
leave
are
it all up
easy
to
to
me.
control.
Don't leave it all up to me.
We are created perfect by the Creator God. Call
There
God
you go.
whatever you want.
Fundamentalist.
But we are created
That's what it
perfect.
is. It's a fundamentalist. There you go.
That is fundamentalism for you, because the religion of gravity and the religion of evolution is under attack. There is no evidence for either of these belief systems. You are trapped in a religion that is keeping you small and keeping you tiny, keeping you enslaved, keeping you behind a mask. How many of you love staying home? How many of you love getting to wear a nappy on your face? Do you love your enslavement so much you cannot question gravity? This theory that everything is going to work upside down if you're in Australia? That's poppycock. None of this can be proven by physical experimentation and measurement, but only by theology, only by belief. Wake up, Bath! The time is coming when the lockdowns of 2020 will look like chicken play, child's play. There is a lot more coming your way. So it's time to wake up and smell the coffee. And it's time to wake up and realize the coffee is level. The water will stay level in every container when at rest. Water level, sea level, you don't know these phrases? How can sea be curving? Because of your theology called gravity. Gravity is a hoax. Gravity is a lie, just like evolution. Man does not give birth, a monkey does not give birth to a man, to a marsupial. That's all religious poppycock. Earth was created for you to have a divine experience, but that experience you've given away in servitude to the Catholic Church, to the Brian Cox, don't they? He'll tell you what to think. Instead of thinking for yourself and research flat earth, people, time to wake up. The day is coming. The day is coming. There you go. I need to put a little water, I think, after that. How's this new phone? I'm holding it. Take another one over this one here as well, man. And then really look at the evidence and see if you can debunk it.
Don't you? How are we?
But you know that we can't prove that we're spinning.
That woman was wonderful the way she was talking.
Well, we
Thank
can.
you, thank you.
Scientific-
You don't like which
What
but
about
how?
when
But
you fly around the world?
we don't fly underneath it. You know, we've never flown
Don't we?
underneath it.
You
No,
keep
but we
going in
can.
one direction.
Well, because we've got a central magnet that we're flying on the north.
That woman was fabulous. She
So
really
why don't the
You
oceans
sound like a
overflow?
religious zealot.
Why don't the oceans overflow?
Well, how would they overflow if
If
you were
it's
lived in a
flat,
lake?
they-
Have you never been to a lake? Don't you understand how a lake
Yeah,
works?
there's another
Water
side
must
to
be
the lake.
contained. So you're worried about it falling off the lake, but not off the side of the ball? You are so well programmed, my man, so well programmed to believe, like Disney, that you can walk underneath a ball. That rivers are flowing up the side of the Africa on a ball. This is nonsense. We play football on a flat pitch with a ball. That doesn't make the pitch a ball, does it? You can travel all the way around the city, but that doesn't make it a ball. So, hey, it's Brian Staveley. Hello, brother. And nice to see you. We're in Bath. Well, Bath has got a lot of mud flood, man. A lot of mud flood. I was talking to Harry a little bit about Mandela effect this morning on the way in here. You haven't seen, he has two legends.
Well, I
the
apologise, people, but I'm a cock.
Not Brian Cock, I hope.
No, yeah, I just couldn't get anywhere with her whatsoever. No rational thought whatsoever. I said, like, can we at least have a discussion about it? And that's when I just got verbal abuse.
The biggest was when you mentioned evolution. Ooh,
Oh, you triggered something there,
The
didn't you?
evolution one, yeah, that set her
Yeah.
right off.
secret belief.
Oh my God.
You really
Yeah,
triggered
yeah.
that.
We have to come
Dangerous.
from apes. Dangerous, yeah.
I
yeah.
was just saying, like, everywhere kind of stops for 5 or 10 minutes, and she kind of sucks the atmosphere, the good vibes out of the whole square.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
It's not good, is it? She doesn't know who I am. She doesn't know, like
No.
I could be married to or just got married to her bloody sister or something, for all she knows. She doesn't know who I am.
Of course you do.
Well,
I mean, if they don't need to marry in those circles, because obviously, like in the ape world, they don't do. You know what? She was providing me evidence of how believing that you
yes.
come from the ape thing
yeah,
can
yeah.
mean that you can behave in that way.
No, that's
Because
right.
she doesn't know you, and we should treat each other with respect, even if we don't agree on these
Yeah.
things. Which is why I don't really like a lot of.
I'm actually a paramedic, and I just saved 3 lives
Yeah,
last night, and
yeah.
I delivered 2 babies, and I'm a
Yeah.
good butt.
Yeah.
She
but-
don't know.
Well, I was house sitting for somebody, and we were getting on like a house on fire. I won't go into all the details of it, but everything was good, man. And there was offers of us doing more stuff in the future and blah, blah, blah. And then next thing I have to out myself as my activism, because she heard about me doing it in her town. And the relationship just went sour instantly. She had to stop the conversation. She was like, oh no, you don't believe in gravity.
No.
It's
I
crazy.
hear sometimes it's just an excuse to end the conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to hear. Guys, I've got some information for you.
Okay, thank you, mate.
You sure? No, you look great, but this is good information. I got some wonderful information for you. The lady who walked by me just now, she actually was saying, oh, that woman was, take a flight. She was saying that woman was spot on. She was also feeling the pinch, like her beliefs were under attack. And but perhaps in the stars. Hello, my friend. How are you? Do you speak English? No, okay. All right, okay. Well, nice. This is not for Jesus, but I say that Jesus is in you. Each man is carrying Jesus.
And Jesus is different.
Yeah, just different. But God, has Allah has the ability to be.
No have live and no Jesus.
No Jesus. No, we don't need it. We need ourselves. That we have, like Islam says, God is closer to you than the jugular vein in your neck. This is where God is, temple of God. It's up here. It's in you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Don't know if my flyer would be any use to a guy who can't read English. Hi guys, ladies. I got a flyer, some information for you. Free your mind. Earth is not a spinning ball. Earth is flat, not like a pancake, but like a squashed something, but not a ball. Earth is not a ball like we was told in school, guys. We've been lied to all the way. Every bit, gravity, evolution, all these things are lies. Let's chat. I won't harm you. I just want to share information. Not later now. Don't fear it. It's only information. Only information. I've got some information for you. Some info. Take a flyer, young man. Hey, you guys heard of the second law of thermodynamics?
I don't know.
You know about it because when you pop a fizzy bottle, you hear that pressure equalization, eh? That's thermodynamics. In order to keep the pressure, you have to keep the lid on. Once you break the lid, or the Coke can or whatever, the pressure starts to equalize, right?
Yeah.
That's second law of thermodynamics. So to live like we do in a pressure container, like this Earth is, it's got a pressure, so all this air pressure. We have to have a container. We have to have a lid or a roof on the top. This idea that we're spinning with just gravity is the thing that holds us together. Cannot be proven. Did I give you a flyer? Take this flyer.
Yeah, we talked to the other person.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Did it help?
It's like pressure, like air.
Huh?
It's pressure, air.
Well, air can have its own pressure because air has a certain amount of mass, right? It's very light, but it does have weight to it, right? So we know that like a helium balloon has less weight, so it's less dense. So it'll go up the helium balloon than rather be down on the bottom ground. So like you've got heavier gases that sit on the floor and other light gases that they go up. But if you had to do that in a test tube, you'd see there's lines of strata all the way across. So all the different gases are settling at different levels. So just the same as in water, or if you use different liquids, you can get that strata effect. And I think that's what we would see if we made the Earth small. It would look just like that. Earth is flat, not a spinning rock. We do not live on the outside of a spinning rock. Nothing in nature lives on the outside of its skin. The fruit is always inside the skin. Think about it. Always inside the skin. We must live inside a container. I had to break off for those guys. There was a crowd of people coming through there. I needed to hit them with a little bit of a... Guys, I've got some information for you. Earth is not a spinning rock like we've been sold. We've been lied to about on the television. Earth is not a spinning ball. As you can see, there's Earth is flat, not a spinning rock. Rocks don't float. Rocks don't float, and monkeys don't give birth to children. Human beings do not come from apes. That's nonsense. You are created perfect as your creator intended, ma'am. God is great. God is within you. We do not come from apes. Evolution, Big Bang, all of this is religion. A belief system to indoctrinate the young. I got some information on the flat Earth.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Earth is not flat. It's a nor a spinning rock. I'll show you my flyer. Earth is not flat, nor is it a spinning rock. Here's mine. Take a flyer. You can have two, one for your lady. All right, man.
Cheers, mate.
Well done. Cheers. I got some information for you. Free your mind. Earth is not a spinning rock, space rock. We don't evolve. Thank you very much. Earth is not a spinning space ball. I gotta send this flyer home with people. See that the Hebrew conception. I hope the wind is not too harsh for you guys. But this is a miniature version of the banners I've got here. Two of the banners. I got information on the NASA deception. We never landed on the moon. We never landed on the moon. Excuse me, sir. Did you know we never landed on the moon?
I was just saying that to matey. You know, but,
You're not going to call me a cock for saying that, are you? We never landed on the moon. The government is hoaxing us 7 ways from Sunday. Do your own research. Don't trust anything that comes from the BBC. You guys, I did give you a flyer, right?
Yeah, we're just.
You just want to see what goes on. Good. Keep an open mind. You're very, 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 very young, but the indoctrination happens in the first 7 years mostly. So it's happened to us all. Don't feel bad about it.
What shape is the world?
Well, we're into hypothesis country now. We have to say we don't know exactly, but if you look in nature, you see oranges and apples, a lot of spheres, right? And they tell us it's a sphere, but I say it's probably an electromagnetic sphere, and we live inside it. So if I take an orange and I cut it down from top to bottom, yeah, and let it fall open on the table, what do you see? You see seeds in the central area, most protected. That's where the seeds of new life is, right?
So you're saying we're like the seeds?
We're like the seeds. And our continents are those seeds. If you magnify that orange up 1 quintillion times, those seeds are big continents and mountains. And you can travel over that landscape from one side of the orange flesh to the other side of the orange flesh. And that's
So,
all we
like,
do.
What do you believe that's covering us then?
That's covering us.
Yeah.
Well, I think that at the extremities, yeah, because we were talking about light gases just now, right? About how light gases rise. But there is a freezing point for these light gases. So when we fly in a plane at like 30, 40,000 feet, we see it's minus 50 up there. It's getting really cold. And that's one of the weird things about this, because hot air rises, but as you get higher, it gets super cold. And cold air sinks, but as you get lower, it gets magma. It gets really hot beneath our feet. So we know this from things that we can test. So I think that up there, gases have frozen to create like a frozen dome or a lid or a roof. That's what I think.
What about the moon?
The moon is a light that's inside, and an energy point that's inside the system, inside the orange. So you're lying on your back now on the seed of the orange, and inside the orange is a pith. You know, the white stuff, the pith. Inside of that is electrical current happening all of the time. That's how the tree is feeding the orange to bring it to life, right? So the tree feeds the orange and fills that flesh from the pith. Now, that might be what is the electrical activity, the arcing that we see in the sky as stars and moon and so on. And I even take it a little bit further to say that at the top of the plant, at the top of the orange, where the orange is connected to the tree, yeah, you've got to think that that tree is actually giving it energy all day long, yeah? It's feeding water that it pulled up from the earth, and it's feeding that into the tree. Now, let's call that water electricity. Yeah, and at the bottom, if it's a torus system in where the anus is of the orange, there's also energy going in there somehow, I think, or either it's going in there or going in at the North Pole where it connects to the tree, and then feeding down through the stem to where the seeds are.
And how come? Well, a lot of people believe that humans never landed on the moon.
Yeah, I used to believe we landed on the moon. For most of my adult life, I believed that. But we'd seen grainy images on TV. I was too young. I was born in 1968, but I grew up with the moon landings as real. And then I started looking at the footage of them leaving the lunar surface, and some guys panning up. You know, and how is some guy left on the moon to pan up as they leave the lunar surface on the first mission? And then you see them doing an interview when they came back from the first mission, and these guys look guilty. Like, you know, when you've been caught out, you're in trouble with the headmaster or whatever, and you know you've done something wrong, but you're not going to tell him, whatever. So you know how you look a little bit shifty, and your mate's answers aren't going to exactly line up with yours because you're not telling a full true story about what happened. Well, that's what I see when I see Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and them come back and talk about what happened for them on the first
When was
moon
it
landing.
that they talked about it? How long after they landed?
Well, I would say, to be fair, it might have been 2 weeks afterwards. But they still looked, because when they came back, in theory, they were kept in debriefing and out of everybody's sight for 2 weeks. But that could have been a perfect time for them to prepare exactly what they're going to say. This is what we did, let's run through what we went through, so we all talk exactly the same story. But it looks guilty.
They could have felt like that or looked like that because of the changes of going to the moon and that.
No, that's a good one. I like that. But it's good thinking, actually. You've obviously maybe thought about this a bit, but I would say that's a good point to make. And so you have to watch the video yourself. It's called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, or is it Astronauts Gone Wild? These two documentaries that a guy called Bart Sorrell made. They're really useful to watch. It's the footage from that time, and you go, oh, shit, is that? But if you think about Lewis Hamilton, you know who Lewis Hamilton is?
Yeah.
He wins the Formula One every now and again, right? So now when he's won the Formula One, at the end of the race, he can tell you about it in such detail. And if it was like the race that he won, the World Championship, the final race, and he took that last turn and overtook somebody to win the World Championship, you could ask him that story in 20 years' time, and he would tell you exactly how it happened, exactly word for word, blow for blow. Because that's how the mind works with these things. I went to war as a kid when I was 19, and I remember 35 years later, I remember moments of that like it was yesterday. So that's how these things work, is that if you're the first humans to walk on the moon, you do not forget any of it. And it's super exciting. And then not only that, you take a video camera and you point it at the Earth and you film 2 hours or 3 hours of footage of the Earth spinning in space. You would do that. They never did that. Why didn't they do that? Because they can't get away to far enough to film it in that way, and Earth isn't spinning. That's the conclusion, and there's no scientific experiment that shows that we're spinning, by the way. They just teacher will tell you the sun is rising, that's proof that the Earth is spinning. No, that's proof that the sun is rising, it's moving towards us. You can say that maybe it's that, but you have to then go and test that, and we can't do an experiment to test that.
Have you done an experiment to test that the Earth is definitely not how they say it is?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. In 2016, when I first had found this out, I was doing an experiment where I was flying to France, and I took a digital spirit level, which is super accurate. I was building stuff with it at the time, and I put it on the floor of the plane before we took off. It put it 0, and then let it sit there for the flight. And the whole way along the flight, our nose is 1.5 degrees up. But if we were flying 1,000 miles, we'd have to go down miles and miles and miles. The nose would actually have to be pointing down most of the time to kind of account for curvature. So then I've looked over water bodies, and even in my life experience before I knew Flat Earth, I had to just think back to the times when I've seen things so far away. They're like, shit, they tell me that there's a certain amount of curve in the water. I should not be able to see a thing that's curved around the side of a ball. And a ball, if you think about it, is perfectly spherical. So there should be no place, other than maybe on the continents, there should be no place where the water isn't bending equally. So wherever you go, you should be able to measure that water is being bent. And we cannot do that. We're told that a ship is going over the horizon, but that could be 3 miles, it could be 6 miles, depending on the weather. And then we can say that, now we can take a powerful camera and zoom in on that same ship that we've lost with our eyes, and the powerful camera can see it and say, oh, there it is, it's still there. It hasn't gone over no curve, it's still on a level body of water.
So wait, I think I might have already asked this, but what do you believe that Earth is shaped?
I think it's like an orange. I think that it's an electromagnetic orange, but on the middle, where the seeds are, then I think that it's a plate of rock, and that around that rock is one big ocean. So if you can shrink the map, the whole of a flat Earth down into just one page, it would look like the United Nations logo, which has got all these 5-6 continents like this, and then a ring around it, which is perhaps containing the water. But that bit I can't say for sure. But I think I've traveled a lot of the Earth, and so I'm fairly comfortable. And I've got a pilot friend, or a few friends in piloting planes, who know that the Earth is not a ball, and you fly point to point. I can show you on this map here. Come have a look. I'll show you
See a bank
how flights make sense on a flat Earth. Yeah.
an orange. But what is just the Earth?
Well, the Earth is, remember, the Earth is the seeds inside the orange.
It's like flat, like
Okay, so I mean, just like if you examining those seeds in the orange in your mind right now, you know that if I've just cut the orange halfway through, the seeds are still buried in that little pod there, right? Underneath them is water suspending them, and above them.
about the shape of it, like the shape of the seeds in a way.
Well, this is I mean, the continents may look something like this, right? We can't be sure exactly how exactly everything is, because some of these flights, this part of the world, don't happen. Flights to Australia are really weird. They tend to fly through Hong Kong and all that sort of thing.
So you're saying it's like flat like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, the part that we live on is flat like that, absolutely. Like the sea, there's one ocean on Earth, and it's one sea level. There's one sea. So think about an Olympic swimming pool, and you put 5 big stones in that pool. Free your mind. Free your mind. We've been lied to about everything. Why not the moon landings and ISS? And when gravity can be shown to be just buoyancy and density in motion, when gravity can be shown to be buoyancy and density, how do we walk underneath a ball? So there you go. So it's hard for people to accept. But yeah, so we say that our sea, you know, like if you take England, for example, and Wales, you can start on the east coast of England and walk up into the mountains and then down to the west coast of Wales. And your height that you've gone up to the highest point will match what you go down to the lowest point, because the sea level on the east coast and the west coast is identical, aside from tidal variation.
If the Earth is, or just the Earth is like that,
Yeah.
then how come big mountains, which everyone's experienced walking up, things like that, don't show up as easily?
Well, in this projection here, this is like a 2D projection,
Yeah.
but obviously all Kilimanjaro and Everest, these things are real. So our plate is, again, let me give you the example of throwing a boulder into a swimming pool. Around that swimming pool, you'll have around that water, around that rock, you'll have high points and low points. And you will go to the very highest one, and you'll have areas where it's lower or close to the sea or whatever. So there's no problem with that. When you say flat Earth, we don't mean like it's like Kansas where it's super flat. But the salt lakes, there's salt lakes in South America that are thousands of square miles, and they're perfectly level.
You mean the body of it is flat, okay, that the base of it is flat, but then the things on it change depending on other stuff.
Yeah, it's a 3D projection above the water level. So all of that's going to have terrain, topography, hills, valleys. Of course. Well, it is what it is. But we're just saying this is how it works.
What about us being lied to? What is it? What all the things we're being lied to about?
Well, if this is true,
Yeah.
then they have the power to control everything and every government, right? That's the first thing to say. So that means that Russia and America and Britain and Ukraine are not really enemies at the top table, nor China. There is a controlling hand that is trying to run your life and control you from cradle to grave, and control the knowledge that you have. Because if they control your knowledge, they can control what you do and what you think about yourself, and how we as a collective come together or are at war with each other. And so for me, it's like they want to control your physical avatar through your mind, but they might also want to control your soul, because I think there's a soul journey going on here. And that soul journey is going to be skewed, or it's going to be enabled by you knowing the truth about who and what you are and what this place is.
We're meant to be on the Sainsbury's in 2 minutes.
All right, guys. Well, it's been good to talk to you. Have a good life. I gave you a flyer. My name is Dave. I have a channel called Trinity 4. If you want to see this, but it's streaming on a different channel at the moment. But yeah, have a good life, guys. And realize that you are meant to be the top of the pyramid, not a slave at the bottom. And you're not evolved. You were created on purpose, as you are. All right.
Thank you.
Good luck. Couple of conversations going on here. I tell you what, the chalk really does help. Someone taking a photo. So can I ask for some feedback on my flyer? See the guys wearing a Motorhead jacket, how scared off. Don't you remember seeing the Hells Angels wearing face nappies? There's a lot of imagery in what people present. a certain view of self. Have a flyer. Some information. Some information for you? No. Can I give you guys some information? How are you guys doing in the chat there? Everything all right? People being nice to each other? I can't see it at the moment. Hey, Squirrel. See you there. It's Tapper. How are you doing, brother? Harry's having a chat there.
Well, I'm asking you, we're going to turn it on. You turn it on, and then you ask a flat earther like this guy, have you but ask the first
There's a certain amount of energy there today. Hey, take a flyer. You could learn something new today. You know, we can't prove gravity. We can't prove evolution. We can't prove evolution. We can believe in evolution. So I'm challenging all religion today. All belief. Any belief should be challenged. If you live your life to a belief dogma, then are you really of your own mind? Are you your own master? You know, all of us would look at a religion like, say, Islam or whatever. Oh no, those people are a bit fundamentalist. They don't know what they're talking about, right? We would say that, but they're good people. They're good men, but they've been given a belief system we don't agree with. Well, what if I was to tell you that I had the same belief system in moon landings, in outer space, that we're going to find life on Mars? I believed all that till I was 47. And then I found the formula for curvature on the globe. Never got taught that at school. Loved maths. Never got taught that. Never heard that. Never even thought about it. What is the formula for curvature on a sphere? If you live on a sphere, it should be measurable. You should be able to say, oh, let's take a laser, let's measure that curvature over water. Guess what? Water's always level. That's what we learn. Water's level, you build from water levels. You can take lakes, measure them, they're all level. So at what point does curvature come in? Well, that's when we say gravity. But gravity is the pencil that fell on the floor. That's not a thing that's pulling water into the underside of a ball.
Bit too deep for me on a bank holiday Monday.
You would take my flyer and think about it, bro.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Earth is not a spinning ball. We've been lied to about that. We live on an electromagnetic world. Get the money. That's great. That's great. That's great. How are you guys in chat? How's the like count going? I think we're a little bit low on likes there. The number of people viewing. Get the thumbs up if you don't mind. And why don't you just push the share button and just share this to your channel if you have one. Because guys, we do need to do more. I mean, it's kind of, you know, Harry and Jason, we've been doing this for years now, and where's the big numbers of people getting out and challenging the reality, challenging the paradigm?
I don't really want to be recorded.
No, that's all right. You carry on the conversation. I'm just
What I'm
live
saying
streaming,
is that
so I won't
People shy
record you.
away when they see a good argument. That's the thing. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm open, but how can you not?
Then ask a flat earther why it is that he believes that way.
And what happens when you ask a scientist and you get?
Then ask him as well.
Yeah,
and then form your own opinion.
Yeah, I have.
But that's it.
But I mean,
well,
there's-
no, you try to give me reasons why it is a globe, and not rather why
Thank
it
you.
is, and listen to how it is I am the way I am. You just said you were coming to me
because-
at the first in the psychological.
And I've heard what scientists do, if you don't mind me interrupting. I've heard what scientists do to the whole flat earth debate. It's very muddied and very ridiculed rather than really trying to
I
understand
mean, yeah, I don't
why.
think ridiculing is the best way, to be
Yeah,
honest. Like,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it should just be
Yeah,
like
we're having
addressed.
we're having a bit of humour and a little
Yeah,
bit of banter
yeah,
back
yeah.
and forth.
But
I
That's the
think
way.
the best way is just to address each point, and it's possible. Like, it's just like if you want to believe. But what just blows my mind is that you're trying to use scientific terminology as an
We're not
alternative
science
to
deniers.
gravity.
That's
But-
it. We're not.
But how can you believe something
We've
where
just only
there's
ch-
no
we- because
no
we-
scientists, no qualified scientists
It's because
actually
we've
believe?
challenged them and we don't get satisfactory.
You don't get satisfactory answers, but there are answers. They're just not to your liking.
No, that's not fair. No. That's
Can
not fair.
I
But
ask
there
you a
are-
question?
Yeah, please.
Do you start with challenging what is the flat earth conception, or do you start with what these guys have done is they've challenged the globe to say that the globe science is on trial, to say that there is this incredible claim made that we're spinning under time and space and all of that sort of stuff, credible claims and relativity, that these things are happening, but now we're saying these things are theoretical, can we actually demonstrate them? And for me it was the curvature of water on a sphere or on a circle that blew it for me, because I grew up by the sea and I was like, I can see things in the distance that the formula says I should not be able to see. And so once I applied that, I began saying, okay, now can I test gravity? What is gravity?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't accept gravity, then it's going to be a hard one
But
to.
that's the belief part, right? That's the belief part.
Yeah,
because
but gravity
is the
theory
What
that
I'm trying
never
to say
proves.
is like, but that just didn't come out of nowhere. Like that theory, like Newton came
Yeah.
up with that, and then ever since it's verified. It's not just like guys just make it up and then if scientists should believe it
Why
because
did
it sounds
Einstein
nice.
blow it out like the water and come up
Well,
with
that's
his own?
that's what's interesting, and that's
His
how
own
science.
theory.
Yeah, relative.
Yeah.
Yeah, but theory.
Take my flyer, bro. Thank you. Have a good day. There's a flyer, some information for your mind, bro. There you go. Come on, turn them. Water levels on flat Earth. We say that, yeah, we say that all water levels when at rest. So our sea, our ocean must have one level. Get the mind. Get the mind questioning. Some flyers, information, some info for you ladies. Have your mind blown today? Gravity's a hoax. Evolution's a lie. Evolution's a lie and gravity's a hoax. Did you know that? We live on a flat, unmoving Earth. It's hard to believe, I know, but belief is the...
And the moon is just a half moon.
Guys, we can't prove we live on a globe. That's a hoax. How's the stream there? Is the audio all right, guys? Thanks for the thumbs up if you've thumbs me up. Obviously, this is not my channel, Jason's channel. Folks, I've got some information for you. We've been lied to about the globe. We don't live on the outside of a spinning rock. We are created perfect, not evolved from apes. Not evolved from apes. Evolution is a hoax. Did you know that? Evolution is a grand deception to weaken us, to demean us, diminish us. Some information for you, sir. Young man, ma'am, some info.
However, when you fly, you'll notice that the rise is always about like not terrible rise, no measurable temperature anyway. It's certain. But how nice flight. And I used to do that. I used to do paragliding. So I've never seen any temperature there. Anyway, I've never seen frozen carbon. It's supposed to say that water curls round and flows the sea will flow. That's never been scientifically demonstrated. It's a belief system. There's no temperature. And in fact, I've got a wee picture here.
Okay then, my friend.
Yeah, he's with me.
Yeah, we're together.
You two are together?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm live streaming for YouTube at the moment.
Right,
We've been going around the country talking to people, just trying to inform people, because really what we have
This
is
is global eye, not flat earth.
globe light. And well,
So
for
if-
me,
I'm just
sorry
saying-
to interrupt you, Harry.
I'm just only asking if it's not a globe, then what is it? Is it a donut shape?
Well, see,
Electromagnetic, maybe?
Electromagnetic?
Yeah, have
So
you-
the Earth is just nothing at all.
No, well, I think, if I can speak for myself, I think
Okay, yeah, no worries.
I think that we're standing on top of something that we perceive as physical, but it's actually all light. It's all electromagnetism. So there's light in play, it's sound and frequency. I know that's really hard to sort of accept from a materialist point of view, but I say to people, I think it's an electromagnetic torus or orange. And if you had to cut that orange open to expose the seeds pods of the inside, that would be what we consider to be continents at the macro level. Or even your own body at the micro level, that you are a torus, electromagnetic being within an electromagnetic torus, the big apple, as they say. And I think that we're inside this great giant apple, to use that analogy, that's electromagnetic. But where we stand is a plate that we see as rock, or we perceive as rock, hard, hot, and all of that. And then around that plate is the water of the fruit, just like the orange has its seeds protected by the water of the fruit, which will then be the springer of new life. which is what I think the Earth is a bringer of new life.
Isn't man 70% water though?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Like the fruit. And the man, just like the fruit.
you've completely lost me, unfortunately. I personally, no offense to you,
Yeah.
I feel like you are just using very, very long words to make yourself sound a bit more intelligent.
Oh,
for your
thanks.
argument. I mean, no offense
Yeah.
to you. I do
Yeah.
think you do have some valid points, but just the long words, electromagnetism this, electromagnetism that. You've lost me, man.
Okay, well, electricity and magnets, if you can see something called a maglev train.
Okay.
You've heard of that? And have you heard of the rail gun?
Yeah.
These things are using electricity and magnetism to create incredible force, incredible power. So we know that, and once you study some of the quantum physics stuff, you realize that, yeah, it could all be an electromagnet. But to keep it simple then, we can't measure any rotation of our landmass or our Earth. So it's much easier for me to accept that the Earth is not moving, and I have yet to see proof that it is or evidence
So
that
if
it
it's
is.
not moving, then how does the sun and moon work then?
They move,
So you're saying the sun moves alongside the moon?
yes.
What about the other planets?
They too are moving. The wandering stars is
So
the
we're
big.
in the middle of it all, and then everything else is circling us.
So I think back to
So
my orange analogy. If
I'm
we're the
just saying,
seeds,
from their point of view,
Yeah.
aren't we technically moving with them? Because, say Martians exist, like let's make a scenario where Martians exist.
yeah.
So when a Martian walks around, is it just flailing around because they're moving? Or are they still and we're moving?
Okay.
Then?
Well, let me help you with that. The planet Mars is actually a point of light that we see in the sky. It's an energy. It's an energy signature. We can study this through using not cymatics, where we can fire electricity into water, and we can create the star in a jar experiment. Well, we think that this is that. It's just a frequency point maybe in water, and it's creating what we see as Mars. So no, I don't think we can land on Mars, and nothing is. The things might be moving and turning in a way, but the idea that it's a rock spinning around like this cannot be evidenced by, even if we look at it ourselves with a powerful camera, we see lights and a light show. Now the wandering stars have their own speed, and the Sumerians knew this thousands of years ago. They designed the astrolabe to measure exactly when these stars would be in certain placements, and they were doing that with a disc-shaped device, which was turning. And just that's what we say, is that our roof might be like a disc-shaped device that's turning. The main roof with all the constellations in turns
So we're
independently.
so essentially, we're in a box.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it.
We're
Or a
inside
ball,
of a box,
or inside a ball.
Okay.
Maybe the truth is that it is an oblate spheroid, like they tell us in science. But that oblate spheroid is the electromagnetic bubble that we're in. And upon that plane, inside the center of it, is an accretion disk or a creation disk between. You have to go and study the primer fields, which is really useful science. It's not a flat Earth science. It's just when you take two powerful ball magnets, fire electricity into a chamber with a gas in it, you get this, between them, you get this event. And it looks like a quasar or something, but you get this event occurring. And this event, the guy who developed this experiment said it's like an accretion disk. That we can actually put iron balls in that, and they will form the flower of life. They will actually take on patterns of the flower of life in this environment. So I think that's why, for me anyway, why I prefer the electromagnetic theory. But
So
because
saying if I was to just continuously non-stop walking towards this way, I could walk
Yeah.
on water, for instance, there will be an eventual end. I'll just reach an invisible wall, and then I just won't be able to go.
I've got now we are obviously in the realm of my theory. I used to theorize to my older children that we could travel to the end of the solar system. And that was millions, and Voyager 2 had been out there, and eventually we might be able to go to other. So I had all of these ideas that I was allowed when I was a believer in the mainstream dogma. Now I say no, maybe what happens is that our electromagnetic environment starts to break down, and we cannot travel outside of that. Just like if you were a cell of orange, inside of the orange, you wouldn't be able to leave the pith. You wouldn't be able to get outside of the containment zone. And I think that's the truth of it, is that they can't get more than 100 miles up. We've only drilled 7.5 miles into the ground, so we don't know what's down there. And then there's Admiral Byrd's evidence, which may or may not be disinformation, where he spent 15 years down in Antarctica with a whole battle group and an aircraft carrier, thousands of men. And he was flying for years, flying out and about. And he came back and said, I've found land that no man has ever seen before, land bigger than America. There's resources there that would last lifetimes and all this sort of stuff. This is what he says on TV. Now, is that true? Or is it that, yes, there is a finite limit to how far our machines or our bodies can travel away from the central point, the equator, the equatorus. So it's torus systems, and the equator is telling you that it's a torus, and that at that point is the middle point of the two ball magnets, and at that point you've got the most heat, the most energy, and as you dissipate away from that into the tropics and then into the plus 50 north or south, then the weather starts to get really cold and unpleasant.
Yep.
And the days get shorter, and all these sorts of things start to change. Yeah. So this is my theory: is that, well, if you look at that evidence, then yes, the further north we go, beyond 80 or 90 or maybe there's 100 degree, I don't know. But if you go beyond these places, compasses don't work, and conditions, well, we can't be sure we've ever been there or can go there. So the Antarctic Treaty, the year after Admiral Byrd came back and said what he said on TV, the year after that, the big countries of the world at the time signed the Antarctic Treaty. It's never been broken. And that treaty stops any company or any country or anyone from going down to this massive place and doing any exploration other than to check out penguins and to do core samples of ice from 10,000 years ago or whatever it is that they're telling us. So no, I think that's it's possible. That's what our world is. Some people say there's more land. They're hiding more land by this globe, because on a globe there's nowhere to go. But on a flat
Who've been
Earth,
hiding it, though?
the same people who give us religion.
The same people who gave us religion, they're hiding it.
Yeah.
Why would they be hiding it?
Well, the people who give us religion are, I think, an entity that's trying to control us, whether it be the physical you or the soul or spiritual
So the
you.
people, you're saying?
Well, no, well,
People of religion, or the
no.
phantoms of religion?
No, well, I mean, whatever sits behind religion. I mean, preachers and so on, I do not point my finger at them. These guys
So
are just
you think
believing.
they're hiding it. They're hiding bits of land from us.
Well, that's a hypothesis. But the question is, who's doing it? Is that there is a hidden
What they have
hand?
to gain from it.
Well, that's interesting. You know, it could be as simple as they want you to be a tax slave, or it could be more complex, and it could be a soul story that actually this is to do with a relationship with God, a relationship with your higher self. And that's what I think actually it's about, because they put us under constant duress, world wars, financial crises, breakouts of flu, lock people down.
So they're the ones responsible for COVID, is what you're saying.
They're the ones.
So these people of religion, you're saying, are the reason why we had COVID and we had the flu?
No. And I'm very cautious about what I say about COVID, because if I talk about COVID, like my last YouTube channel got taken away, and my current YouTube channel is on a strike. So
we'll change it to flu then,
can't.
for instance.
Yeah.
That's fine by
So yeah. I mean, look, there is. Just 10 years ago, I believed everything that came to me through the news as being a real thing done by the perpetrators that they said, where it was the underwear bomber, the shoe bomber, the 9/11 one, the Murrah building in Oklahoma. All of these things I just took as, this is the story they tell me on the news is not true.
9/11 happened.
I believe it happened.
believe it
I know it.
happened?
I'm sure it happened. I'm sure it
I was
happened.
about to say, no,
I posed.
tangent and a half for me.
I posed in front of the Twin Towers in 1988 when I was traveling through New York. So I was aware of what those buildings were, and when they went down, I was watching the second building go down, and I was old enough. I was 33 at the time, and so for me it was a world-changing event.
Of course, yeah.
I was devastated by that. And upset, actually, because the Muslim story seemed to be getting more and more in our face, and that fundamentalism was starting to erode our freedoms and so on. So I was, for years and years and years, quite convinced, quite comfortable with that. It was all done as the TV told me it was. The National Geographic explained how Building 7 just fell in on itself and so on. And I took all of that at face value. And then I wrote a book about my time in the war myself in 1987, in Angola, and I wrote a book about that. I got such an accolade for it. I gave a copy to Prince Harry. So it was a well-received book about being in combat in tanks in 1987 in Angola. That was my story, being bombed by Russian planes. I went through all of that, and then a guy comes to one of my book launch events and says, you know what, I was in Intel, and the Americans and the Russians. Now, we knew the Americans were on the ground with us, even though the news would never have told you that. Yeah, we saw the CIA guys. We saw their Stinger anti-aircraft missiles. There was no debating that. I've spoken to a pilot who said we couldn't land on the ground in the theater if the CIA plane was on the ground. So this kind of covert stuff goes on. I knew my whole adult life that this had gone on because I'd seen it at first hand. I was on the front line for 3 months of my 2 years national service. We had to do army. I ended up in a war. And now I write a book about it, and a guy tells me your battles were staged. I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, so I did walk through those battles. People alongside me died. I got hit by shrapnel. I lost my vehicle in one day's attack. I lost friends, and we killed people. So don't tell me that those were staged. But now I realize years later that where they took place and what was to be the eventual outcome of that contact was already predetermined. Because what happened on the 3rd of October was my squadron, my unit, we knocked over a brigade, which is 2,000 men, 3 squadrons of tanks. We wiped them out by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Wiped them out. They were no longer a military force. And that story was never told. But let me tell you the story that I like to tell now is that for 5 days after that, we were told to rest. And we were so hot under the collar at that point after we lost one vehicle, one lieutenant, one guy died, another guy lost some of his face. But that was all of our losses on that day. But we wiped out an entire brigade. We were outnumbered by at least 10 to 1, and we destroyed them. So we were like, there's 3 more brigades in theater. We're going to go and take them on right now. Tomorrow, we're ready to go. They stopped us for 5 days, and I'm like, now I understand why, because we were not meant to. It's a longer story about how we were not meant to wipe them out there, that it was meant to be like a stalemate incursion, just like you see in Ukraine. If Russia wanted to roll over Ukraine, it has the force to do it in a few days. If it wanted to do that, it would do that in a few days. It has everything it needs. But this has dragged on for months and months and months, because what is the political capital gained by constraining people, by putting people under more pressure, by cutting out the Nord Stream, by all of the things that are coming as a consequence of what's going on there start to impact on me and you. Our freedoms have to be removed because Osama bin Laden's family do business with George Bush's family. No one knows that stuff until you start to look into the backstory of who these people were, why it was that the US government was offering bin Laden medical care just a year or two before the 9/11 event. And so we are being fed stories to get us into war with our brothers, because I love the Muslim man. I've had Muslim refugees from Iraq live with me in Cape Town in 1994. So I was aware of all of this sort of stuff. And then I realized, hey, Saddam Hussein is also a puppet of the system. You know, when they pulled him out of a hole, he was hiding for about a year. And then the Marines pull him out of a hole. And in the photograph of them pulling him out of a hole, they've got date palms with dates on them. Now, in that part of the world, there are no dates on the plants at that time of the year that he was pulled out in November or whatever. There should be no dates on those palms. So these things are being staged to get you to believe a particular narrative. Like me, when I was a kid, I thought that the communists were coming to us. I thought that we had this apartheid regime, but communism was coming down Africa, and we had to stop it. So I went, like everybody else, my boys in my squadron and unit and what have you, we believed that we were at war from communism. So we went and fought to the death. Gave our lives against communism. And now we see ourselves, that was a complete narrative to get one country to send their young men and their tax dollars, if you like, to war, and get another country to have to do the same thing. And while Angola is at war, it is buying equipment through Cuba from Russia, paying for it how? With the oil reserves that they're after. Because Angola is not a rich country, but it has so much oil, like 10% of oil reserves or something. So these countries stage a war. Now your country and your taxpayers owe them billions to pay back for the weapons and the support and all that. How are you going to pay me back? Well, let me take some oil wells from you. That'll be a great repayment program. So we're in a system that is constantly seeking to find ways to control the narrative and control us and control you as to who you are, and control you as to who you believe you are, and what we will do to each other as enemies, as barely evolved apes. The things that we will do to each other, staggering, beggars belief. And we saw it just in 2020, where people did awful things to each other because they believed what they saw on the TV. But I went around towns and cities, and friends of mine did, and we looked in hospitals, and we did our due diligence, and we found that there was no streams of ambulances anywhere. There were no stories of households full of people all falling down with the same dreadful flu and then not making it. We didn't find that at all. We found anything but, and everywhere I traveled, I was in a camper van. Everywhere I traveled in England in the first lockdown, people said, no, it's not really here, mate. It's up there in London, or it's over there in some other place. It's not really hit us. But if we keep you foreigners out, you strangers out, then we'll be okay. That's a siege mentality. And it's got people looking over the fence and saying to the neighbor, I want you to slap yourself in the face 3 times today before you go out, or put that nappy on your face. And that's what we ended up doing to each other. I always wondered, that's what I said to Virgin Atlantic staff when they banned me for life. I said to them,
Banned you for life for what?
huh?
What did they ban you for?
For life.
Yeah, but
Because I wouldn't put the
why?
nappy on.
Why did they ban you? That's my question.
Well, when they wrote to me, they said, you called our staff Nazis. And I said, no, I never did. I said, I always wondered to myself growing up how they did it to the German people, to get them to throw their neighbor, their Jewish neighbor or whatever, into the prison, type of thing. How did they get people to turn against each other like that? Well, they told them that these people are bad, whether they be black, Jewish, whatever. They're the bad. They're the ones that are the
So you
bad.
compared Virgin to...
Well, the air hostesses were insisting and saying, no, you must do this. You must do these things. And I'm saying, no, I'm expressing my own free will to say no, thank you. Just because you say that it's going to cause me a problem, I don't see the evidence of that, and I don't see the evidence of me harming anybody else. Like I tell people, my mother was an intensive care nurse for more than 20 years during my childhood. We were never sick in my family. We were normal sickness levels. Not like, oh, she's bringing flus and death home every weekend or whatever. No, that's just not how it is. Your body has an immune system. So I have to be careful what I say about this stuff. I keep losing a channel over this. But you have, there are natural protections that each of us have, and that we've given all of that up. And we say, okay, if the government says I must do this, I'm going to do that. When you go, no, this is my free will. Surely I get to choose if I go out.
Freedom of speech. essentially.
Freedom of movement, of movement. And for me, on the
Freedom of
flat.
movement to a certain extent, personally.
Well, why would you say it to a certain extent?
I mean, if we had full freedom of everything, like
Yeah.
no laws,
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people say because guns are legalized in America, that prevents a lot of gun crime.
Yeah.
And you see, you got school shootings left, right, and centre. If we were to legalize everything, there is numerous people out there who I would happily murder in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
But
Oh well,
because because I have morals and then we have a law
Well,
system,
hopefully we all
I
have
know
morals.
it's the wrong thing
Yeah.
to do.
So hopefully we have morals, and in any cosmology, whether the flat Earth or whatever, there is the golden principle or the golden rule of do no harm. Don't harm a man and his stuff. Really, you go about your own business and you can do what you want to do. But the thing is, right, when people think about movement over the land now, they worry about migration and immigration and immigration
Right,
from
okay,
a
so
from a
you-
country.
Okay, so freedom of movement is like going to a different country and just being treated like one of their own.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you're going to be from an outer culture. If I go to Jamaica, right, they're never going to think I'm a Jamaican, right? So I'm always going to be a so-called foreigner. Like, that's fair enough, They're going to see me like that. If I'm in Zulu land with my African friends, then, I'm still a European dude. That doesn't make me an African. But we can obviously break bread and have a beer or whatever. That's not a problem. But the thing is that you have to ask permission now if you can go to South Africa or travel to another place, and if you want to stay there for more than a few months, you have to get more permission and even pay money to stay there. When actually it's going to be pushed to leave the land and go and find a way of making a living. Like they did with the Africans, and when the British Empire first got to South Africa, they instituted a hut tax. Now all of a sudden these Africans who had only ever bartered with each other had to find a penny a week or penny a month to pay for their hut. So they had to go to work. They had to go and work in the system. But nature should be providing for us rather than this beast system or this giant financial, which you should know about the financial thing being a bit of a scam too. We're on fiat currency. It has no value. It's just a perceived sense of value, and they can print, the people at the Bank of England or whatever can print as much money or whatever as they like. They don't have to produce gold for it, or the banks don't have to keep all of your money in the bank. In fact, the more you give them, the more they can lend out.
Isn't that just saying man's greatest enemy is man?
Yes,
So we're just
I like that.
basically stabbing ourselves.
Absolutely. And if the journey that I've been on from an atheist to a knower that we are God's expression, then I know that
Yes,
I was.
you were an atheist,
Yeah.
but now you're.
Now I know that there's a God.
You know there is a God.
I had a DMT experience in
What religion
2015.
Is it you believe in?
None. No religion.
So
You don't need a religion to know that there's a higher.
So you believe there's a God, so you're an agnostic.
No. Okay, I'm not agnostic about it. I'm certain, but I don't need to be. I don't. No, for me, religion is a form of control. So religion is saying you need this book and this man Jesus or whatever, Muhammad even, to tell you how to be. Now these guys are good teachers, and I don't undermine what they may have been as the men they were and trying to get a message to mankind. But ultimately, all of them, I think, are trying to say, you are meant to be the master of your own ship. You should not need me. After I've given you a few training lessons, you should not need me to drive your car for you. You should become the master of that car by yourself. And the only way you're going to do that is by driving at night, driving in the rain, driving in slippery conditions, by testing yourself, yeah? And I think that's maybe what this life is about. It's a test to see if you can become the master of your ship, or you're going to give away that mastery. And every time the government turns up and says, I need you to bend down and take something up the backside, you bend down and take something like a good boy. Well, you're not meant to be a good boy. You're meant to be your own warrior, your own sovereign commander.
You know there's a God.
Yeah.
What gods would that be? Or just...
Oh, well, you could use the word Most High, Source. I don't really have a name for God. I think that God is something much greater than language. God is all, whatever all is. Certainly the bearded white man up in the sky is not an image that I think about when I think about God, because in an electromagnetic universe, God may well just be this bubble. May well be this bubble of consciousness, and this bubble of consciousness is bubbling, and every time it bubbles, a new life springs up, one of us. And it expresses itself for 80 years or 100 years or whatever, and then it returns back to the pool that it came from.
So I'm just really confused on your ideas on religion, to be honest, because you say you've gone to the atheist, you say there is a God,
Yeah.
but you don't believe in any other religion, so you kind of formed your own sort of religion.
No. The religion is religion means to tie yourself to something, because the ligature in religion is actually a binding.
Okay, I get
And
what
so I encourage people not to be bound to anything. You may learn great things from these religious houses, but to be bound to a book or to a thing is to give away or usurp that own authority you have. Because I suggest, just like the Quran says to people, is that if you want to find God, He's closer to you than the jugular vein in your neck. And we call this our temple, all right, up here. So this to me is the temple of God, that you are. Just like in the cell of the orange, there's one perfect cell you can imagine, and that cell is orange and it tastes like orange and so on. It's just tiny by comparison to the entire orange. Well, I think that that's what we are, is that we are cells of the orange within the greater orange. And you can call that orange God, you can call that orange Allah. What doesn't matter to me, it's just that there is this higher, and it's a loving presence. And why I went at 47 in 2015, I took something called DMT, dimethyltryptamine, which is a form of ayahuasca, right? You might have heard of that. And for me, it was like a near-death experience, and I went from atheist to a knower that there's a higher thing here in 7 minutes. And that was, for me, that was the transformation. And I'd fought my dying mother that there's no God, by the way. So I was quite staunch in my atheistic outlook. And now I know that all of those things that I was attracted to were because I disliked the system so much. I dislike how religion has divided the world. I dislike how governments have us still at war. And of course, as a kid in the late 80s, when I'd come out of the war and then saw the Berlin Wall coming down, I really thought that communism was dead, that the world was going to be a freer place, there'd be no more war. And then I had to give up on that idea as well. It's like, oh shit, now there's another enemy on the block, which was Islam. And I wanted to try and write a book about that. And in researching that, I realized, oh, hang on a minute. This Islam is not the enemy that we say it is. It's just designed.
It's an ideology for some people that they wish to follow.
Well, yeah, but so are all belief systems. Really, is an ideology, and so I try and take belief out of it and say, but it's really all about you. That you are the center of the universe. You may actually be a universe within a multiverse. I might be a universe too. We're each of us carrying the spark of the universe, a fractal, small amount of it.
In a way, you believe everything that can be is. So, do you believe in the multi-universe theory?
Well, in that way, because there's 8 billion people on Earth or something, in my theory is that there could be 8 billion universes interacting on this plane now within this space. Are there other, if you imagine that this is one orange on a tree, are there other oranges on the tree that we would call other universes that we have never been to and that we are not associated? That's a possibility. I've got to allow for that. So I still have, my mind, that there are more things going on. Some people say it's simply all within this plane. This plane is much bigger, and there's more land on this same plane. But I keep all of the options on the table. This is when when you're not in a when you're not trapped by a belief system, you're willing to hold different competing theories in your mind and go, yeah, it could be this, it might be that. You know, when I imagined space travel into the far distance, when I used to believe in all of that, I had to imagine in my mind, because we've never done these things, I had to imagine what it was like and how it would feel to travel out in that distance and how things might come back in and shit like that. But I'm allowed to think about these as possibilities, but base it on like an
You're not harming
electromagnetic.
anyone in a sense. So
Yeah, well, yeah. But you see, for me, actually, the harm is done by the time you're 7 years old, because you've been presented with a globe a lot of times and said, this is where we live, this is your home, you're on it, you're insignificant. All of that sort of stuff has been drummed into you by you're 7, 8 years old. And so everything, the damage to a large extent has been done, because then they add to it, oh, there were dinosaurs, and then they went away with a terrible, terrible cataclysm 65 billion years ago, million, whatever. And then since then, lucky for you, marsupials just happened to become predominant, and now monkeys turned into man and all of that sort of stuff. Now that damage of, wow, you were created perfect, God or whatever you believe in, the higher source had an intention to express itself as you, and not like a lucky charge. It was like your soul said, I want to come down, be in this male body and have this experience and go through these things. That's the difference between saying you're lucky to be here, there's asteroids coming soon, and there's aliens that are much smarter than you, and dinosaurs were much whatever and all this, and you're old, and yeah. So for me, the damage has been done to our children when we force feed them this idea of rocks floating around rocks, a big fireball keeping us going that might eventually swallow us. All of this sort of stuff is for me trauma-based mind control.
Trauma-based mind control.
Trauma-based mind control. And once you have people saying, because when you're 5 years old and daddy said, or your teacher says to you, hey, you know, you're spinning and you don't even feel it. That's actually the first wound, one of the first woundings to your sense of knowing yourself. Because it's like, shit, so I'm spinning, but I can't feel it. I'm on the side of a ball, but I can't feel it. You know, these are starting to wound your sense of trust yourself. Know thyself. Know that if you sense something or you feel something, that must be true for you. Not have it robbed by these deceivers, which is why they do it in religion, is they want to get a hold of you at Sunday school and deceive, to give you a whole lot of stuff that is Jesuit-led, to say Jesus died on the cross for your sins, you're a sinner and you are always a sinner and you're bad, and if you're naughty, you'll fall off the cloud, and you might die in hell, and all this sort of shit. This is all fear-based mind control. The religions did it, and then they lost people's minds, and so they invented this scientism, this idea that we could have vacuums and outer space. And by the way, the guy who's the grandfather of the NASA is a guy called Jack Parsons. He had Jack Parsons laboratory before it became NASA. He's friends with Walt Disney, and who's friends with the guy who started Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
These three are all students of Anton LaVey, Church of Satan. And they all go on to have this very powerful effect on the world's belief on we came from outer space, there's aliens, there's all this sort of crap. These three people. And they're all students of one Satanist. So you have to wonder whether they aren't intentionally trying to
Don't we
own the
need a
skin.
bit of fear though, don't you think? Do you think we need a bit of fear?
Do you have any puppies? Do you have any dogs?
Yep.
Would you want to put fear into your dog?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, if that dog is thinking of, well, maybe I should run amok, run up and down the stairs,
Yeah.
shit everywhere, piss everywhere. But no, you teach it in a way like, do it this way,
Yeah.
or that's going to happen. That's
Yeah.
a threat. That
Yeah.
threat is creating fear. Kind of like rob a bank, you're going to go to prison. That's a threat. That's fear. People fear prison.
Well, yeah, or don't wear a seatbelt and you'll get a fine if you don't, kind of thing. So a lot of people wear the
If you crash
seatbelt.
into a car, you'll die.
Yeah.
You need.
Yeah, so
in
that's
my
fear.
opinion, You need fear. Fear
that-
is what rules the world.
Fear does rule the world, but it should be love, because we come from a place of love, So I think what they've done is they've inculcated fear into pretty much everything. I try not to. My little boy is 6 years old. I try not to discipline him using fear. Like I was told, I'm going to get a smack for doing that. Using that threat was done a lot to me when I was a kid. Sometimes I did get a smack. If you said to a kid, if you don't behave yourself now, I'm gonna leave you outside tonight, kind of thing. You're gonna stay out in the dark, kind of thing. That would be child abuse. So for me, I think that we do create. Like for example, you don't want them jumping off the edge of a ledge. But he was kind of smart about that from fairly early on. But someone ends up saying, yeah, if you fall down there, you're going to hurt yourself. So that I understand that fear does motivate a learning. And then of course, if you hurt yourself by falling, the fear of that happening again with that experience, then you'll probably not do it again, right? But to use unlimited fear as a way of controlling people. There's a germ that's flying around the sky and it's going to kill your granny and blah 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 blah. Using that, and in fact, the government have admitted now. It's been admitted. You may or not know this, but they've admitted that what they were doing with some text messages or something that came out from the lead actors at the time. They've admitted that they were trying their best to create as much fear as possible.
Yep.
That was like, how do we get people to buy into this? By fear. So how do we get people to buy into insurance? By using sort of fear tactics to get them to think, oh, you need this money, you need to have this insurance, you need. So the whole world is run on that basis
It always has been. In my eyes, it always has been run on fear.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're ever going to get control.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
public executions. They're a fear tactic. They're not.
Yeah.
They're an idea. We're going to make a spectacle out of you.
Yeah.
Murder you in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And then no one else will commit that crime.
Yeah. No, that's true, but that's pretty barbaric, I would say. Yeah, and so what we try and do is to say, hey, if we knew who we were as divine souls, we would conduct ourselves with a loving way. We would abundance, so we wouldn't have that hardship that some guy felt the need to steal necessarily. I give people this analogy: if I had 10 puppies in a cage, and I threw 3 or 4 puppies worth of food in every day, so I shortchanged them seriously on food. How do you think that little pack of puppies is going to behave? It's going to be dominant ones, they're going to be fighting each other, it's going to be a mess. There's going to be whimpering ones who are in the corner starving. That's what happens in the real world.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, and that's what the Game of Thrones, that's what they want. They want a Game of Thrones reality rather than, wow, nature is abundant. There should be so many oranges in the world, so much food. If you're allowed, instead of having all these open fields of green, you were like, okay, we want to have multi-crops on all of these fields, and we're growing all sorts of stuff. We would never run out of food, and you would never have to have people going hungry, and you would never allow for Tesco's and stuff to profiteer. It would be like, there's so much food, you don't have to give up your salary that you've already been taxed for to because at the moment, like in my life, and it used to be, most of the spare money I have goes on food. So at the end of having worked a week, for example, or you've got nothing left for it, just you've managed to keep a roof over your head and food. So you're never going to travel, you're never going to be expansive, you're always going to be in fear of, oh shit, I'm going to be out of money next week. If I lose my job, if this happens or that happens, or I get a big bill or a penalty notice from the thing, or the gas goes up 20 or 50% or 300% as it has done in this country recently, I'm going to go cold at winter. And none of us should be in that. This is not advanced civilization. We're at war with each other. We're fearful of each other. We don't hug anymore. When people walk down the street, they barely make eye contact with each other, and yet we're all from the same source. We're all actually the emanation of this creator, and yet we're at war with each other. People were paying money to put bombs to land on Ukraine. They were having to have their name put on a bomb landing in Russia, bombs to land in Russia. That's how brainwashed they've been, to kind of like, there's these horrible people in Russia, we need to take them all out. And this is...
there's only one real bad guy, everyone else is just sort of following them in a way.
In a way.
And you're being believed, everyone, if you were born in Russia, you're awful human, even the civilians, even the children, even the puppies, when really it all falls under one man. I wouldn't go around and say every soldier who fought for Germany in World War II was a bad person. They were just trying to defend their country. Some of them even opposed what Hitler said, but the ones who did believe him, ones who did think, oh God, this guy's right,
What if it goes a little deeper than that, though? That whoever Hitler was, he was being funded by American interests and world interests. He didn't get to have his war and his war machine without Ford's, the support of Ford. They needed a particular kind of oil or fuel to make their planes run.
He was a really good talker, Hitler.
Hitler was a great speaker.
He was tried for treason. He had been put to death otherwise.
Yeah, he was. Well, but
His way out of it.
George Bush his name comes to mind again. Now, I already mentioned his relationship with Osama bin Laden, right? What if I told you that his granddad was jailed for banking for Hitler?
Yeah. That could very much be true.
So some people make the claim that all wars are bankers' wars because the bankers win every time. That's a pretty simplistic view, I think.
Paying the money to get the repairs done.
But if you didn't want me to go to war with you, and then you found out that your uncle was giving me all the weapons and the money to go to war with you, would you not go, hey, hold on a minute, there's something skew about that? Yeah. So for me, that was a big, because I was all into, I believed all of these things, and these wars did happen just like mine did, but who's behind them? And is it possible that even a Hitler is a created caricature given to the people to see this? We have this terrible man, he's doing these terrible things, so England must go to war with him, or Britain, or in the case of Pearl Harbor, the Japanese did that bombing, and now America is stimulated to go to war. In the case of the Vietnam War, we have the Gulf of Tonkin affair, which is later admitted to be an American attack on themselves, where they attacked themselves, pretended to be the Viet Cong, and started the Vietnam War. So you start to discover that, wow, even though these generals and the army people and so on are just following orders, there are, at some point, there is a controlling hand that these guys who are given control are either knowingly or unknowingly steered along a particular route towards a certain end. And for me, the end in the World War II and World War I was mass European genocide. Mass. There are billions, possibly 1 billion children not alive today because their great-great-grandfather died on the front line, and he never got to have a child or children. And then, therefore, we are in Europe possibly hundreds of millions of people lower than we would have been had it not been for these events. So, and it's quite ugly when you look at it like that. It's like, so this could be a cold-hearted genocide program. It might be one of the things that's going on. It's certainly, if you look at the evidence, it's like there are hundreds of millions, possibly, people who should be alive today, but their great-grandfather never came back from the war. And so I see that that's the devastating thing, is that, like with my war, is that if I went to war based on a lie, I'd like to know that. And I'd like to speak to the Angolan boys on the other side and go, hey, I'm sorry, it was not about you. We were acting on information and the program that was running for us, and they will say the same back to me. We were operating on the information and the programs given to us. And that's all that these people are doing, is operating on a program, whether it be to do with flu viruses that knock you down, or German this ascendancy, or Chinese ascendancy, and them wanting to go to war with the world and so on. These things are all being designed to control your mind, because once I control your mind, I'll control your purse, I'll control your body possibly, and then I think the soul is what they're really after, that it's a dark thing, that there's something dark here. And I don't say it's, if you don't work it out, it's all bad on you. I don't say that, but I think that now I know and see what I see. I think that it's worth knowing this information so that you can move your story in as much light as possible, rather than being snared in all the hogwash that they feed us to try and control us.
Okay.
I hope that's useful for you.
I'll definitely take it better.
Did I give you a flyer?
Certainly.
I think we're electromagnetic, and I got no religion to sell.
Okay. That's fine.
Just the evidence that we can't actually prove that Earth is a globe as they tell us, that it's spinning and that water's curving. These are things that really got my attention at the beginning, and then from there I started working other stuff out.
Okay. I'll take into consideration.
I've enjoyed talking to you.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Dave.
Dave. Nice to meet you.
What's yours? Harrison. My daughter's dating a Harrison at the moment. She's 24, 23, 24. So she's been through university, studied history, and my son, he also went to university, my older son. My 6-year-old boy, he was a product of me discovering that everything I taught my children was a lie. And I wanted to start again with a clear slate and say, let me see if I can raise a child on what I believe to be true, and with a clear heart. Sorry?
I dropped out of university.
Oh, what were you studying?
I was studying music.
Music, okay.
That was also kind of scammy, to be honest. I only did 10 lectures. All of those lectures were YouTube videos.
Oh.
So they were just simple things that were easier, just got them online.
Was that 2021? Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped out last year.
Right, because my son's second year was really interfered with by the whole thing. Everything went online, and it's not the same.
Not the same.
What's your preferred instrument?
Preferred instrument, I play guitar.
Okay.
Bass.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'd love to be able to. I want my little boy to play music. I can't. I'm not really musical myself. I am, but I've never learned. I never learned, and I regret that. But you see, you have a talent, and that talent should be free to express itself. You know, you should have the backing, if you like, of your own wealth to express your music in the best way that you can. And if you decide to throw yourself off the alcohol bridge or whatever, then that's up to you. You know, it's your journey. You know, so. What we say is that if we knew the truth of who we were, we would all be inheriting a share of the value of the earth, which is meant to be your weight at birth in gold. And if you inherited that, then you would be able to use that to be a traveler, play your music around the world, go and sit and listen to or learn from the best musicians you want to. All of these things would be at your fingertips. All of these buildings, those beautiful buildings built around us, were built before universities were built. So how were they so smart back in the day? They had the Stradivarius violin, they had beautiful music from back in the day, orchestral stuff that needs an orchestra full of really competent musicians who were playing really good equipment that had to be made by really competent artisans. And all of this world existed once upon a time, but if you go back to the pre-1600s. That people had this higher culture, higher music, and so on. And somehow that went away, and that's hidden from us. And they put us in this slave farm where we're all tax slaves. So, you know, there's a lot, for me, we're meant to be much more free than we are now. It may feel like we're free because we can go to the shop on the weekend, but truthfully, we're so far from free, brother. It's been really nice talking to you, Harrison. Have a good life, my friend. Good luck. If you just joined the stream, there's 44 in the chat, that's nice to see, and 41 thumbs up, that's less than the chat, so that's a bit odd. Give me a flyer. No? Hi. Take some information. You look like you've got some questions.
No.
Do you know that I used to believe that we lived on a spinning rock in space. Now I can't substantiate any of that claim.
Why not?
Well, because you can't measure the Earth to be spinning. Firstly, there is no experiment that measures the Earth spinning. Even Einstein said we won't find an earthbound experiment that shows we are spinning. And then the curvature of water, that really caught my attention as a maths guy. I'm like, okay, when I apply the curvature formula for water on a globe the size they say it is, I can't see that or measure that in my experience. Other than they say the ship is going over the horizon, we can debunk that very easily.
What about the pictures up in space?
Well, what if I told you that NASA admit that pretty much everything that you see from outer space is a computer-generated image. It's a composite image. So the idea that there's photos being taken from space, like I would take a photo of a mountain or whatever, that's not actually what we're seeing. We're seeing composite images. And a guy called, this chap down here, Robert Simmons, back in 2000, I can't remember when it was, 2012, he did a YouTube video, or he was interviewed, and he told us how he made the blue marble shot for the iPhone. He said that I was given data strips and I didn't know what color the sea was. If it had a lot of plankton, I made it a bit more green, and then I filled in some spaces between the data, and then I created what I believe to be how the Earth might look from space. But I've never been there, and so I had to just do it as an artist. He's admitting that, and he said, I was so surprised that Apple wanted my phone, my picture for their thing. But it turns out that this is about the best picture you'll ever get of Earth from space, and it was done by an artist. So we've looked into these. In fact, we've got 5 or 6 of them over there, different versions of NASA's own photo of Earth from space, and the continents seem to be different sizes in different years, and the colors are different, and it's like, this is just artwork. So when we take a high altitude balloon, say a weather balloon up to 120,000 feet with a regular camera, all we see is things still looking level, the horizon rising to the eye of the camera, but it's still level everywhere you look around. And there's plenty of pilots on YouTube saying, we don't make any allowance for curvature. We get up to our cruising height and we just stay there for 5 hours or 10 hours, and then we settle to land. I know personally, I know pilots who say, yeah, I know I'm not flying under or over. Everything is designed as a rigid body to fly over a plane. Once it gets to its cruising altitude, the artificial horizon will tell them if they're going down from their original horizontal. And of course, we're told that we're going, I fly from England to South Africa quite often, and we're going a quarter of the way down the globe, 6,000 miles. And so therefore my perpendicular changes 90 degrees in the course of that 11-hour flight. But I can't measure that. The gyroscope can't measure that. A digital spirit level won't measure that. So is it possible that everything is just level?
So have
Just
you
like
been
we
to the
said.
end of
No one's ever been to the end except a guy called Admiral Byrd. Admiral Byrd was funded by the American government for 20 years to do explorations. He had an aircraft carrier and 5,000 men and all these ships. And he flew around there for, as I said, 15 years and came back and told the world that I found land bigger than North America down there. And I've been flying around it. I've been dropping fuel bunkers here and there, and then I'll fly further. There's resources there, coal, stuff like that will last mankind for decades. The next year, the world powers signed the Antarctic Treaty, the world's only unbroken treaty. It's still not broken today, and more signatories than ever before that prevent you and me from going beyond the 60th parallel. So we don't get anywhere close to 90, what we believe is the bottom or edge. So when thinking about flat Earth, people tend to think about the pizza or the pancake model. That's what's in your mind. But let me assure you, that's what no flat earther believes, is that there has to be some containment. Water, we know, must be contained, otherwise it will spill. I say to people that I think it's an electromagnetic world, and it's almost like we live inside a capsule. We live inside of a globe, but it's electromagnetic. And in the middle of it, where you've got dense matter, which we call the continents, and enough pressure that we call the ocean, the sea water, we live. Above that is gas that gets lighter and lighter as we get to the top, and NASA won't tell us how high the top is, that the sky is, whether it's 60 miles or 70 miles or 80 miles, we don't know. But there's a top, a roof, and then there is some kind of bottom. So think about like a snow globe, that we live inside of an Eden project, if you like. And inside of that, we have gas pressure. That's the second law of thermodynamics. You've got to have a container for your deodorant or whatever. If you break the container of your deodorant, it will equalize with the surrounding atmosphere immediately. So we say we're inside some kind of electromagnetic system, and therefore the waters are contained at the edges, just like the water would be contained for a fruit, like an orange. An orange contains its own fruit within a skin, or a peel, or a bark.
So you think the Earth is flat?
I think that the sea is level. So, but obviously we have continents. So if you take topography, if you've done any study of that, you'll know that you come from a zero, which is at sea level, and you go up to the highest point, which might be 600 or 700 meters in this country, and then you go down to the west coast, say, and you go down 700 meters. There might be dips and hills and valleys as you go down, but ultimately the total descent will be 700 meters, and you will have got to Wales, and you'll have traveled 200 miles. And in that 200 miles, all you've done is gone up and gone down, but the sea level is the same on that side, aside from tidal variations in local areas. So we have one, if you look at USGS, I'll tell you, there is only one ocean on Earth. We call it Indian, Atlantic, and so on, but there's actually only one ocean. So is it not possible, if you shrunk that ocean down into a 50-meter swimming pool and put 5 or 6 big lumps of dirt or stone in that, you could sail around. If I put a magnet in the middle, my little boat would sail around that for months and months and think, yes, I'm on a globe, or I'm just going around the swimming pool.
So is the moon flat as well?
The moon looks like a disk to me. So when I look at the moon, I observe the moon very closely over the last 6 years, and I see the moon rolling clockwise in the northern hemisphere and anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere. This is my observation. But it does look like just a disk of light. And then when we notice, say during the daytime, when we notice the moon during the daytime, you'll notice that the shadow part of the moon is the same color as the sky, the same color blue, which is weird because it's meant to be in the blackness of space. So the shadow or silhouette should be dark. And guys have photographed stars through that dark point at night, whereas like we can actually see stars behind what appears to be this rock. If it was a rock,
By the time we see a star, it's no longer in existence.
Yeah, I know. I used to tell my children that. I had children go to university level with the same knowledge,
What do
the
you
same
do for a
understand. This is kind of what I do right now.
Is it what you do for a
I don't. It's not really a living, but it's a calling, because I was sitting on my sofa at the age of 47, and I had an experience with DMT. I don't know if you know ayahuasca. Have you heard of ayahuasca? It's a plant medicine, South American plant medicine, and for me it was like a near-death experience, and I was an atheist at that point. My dying mother in 2011 couldn't get me to accept that there was anything higher going on here, and I do this to DMT. It takes 7 minutes. I was on a book tour in Johannesburg. This old friend of mine says, try this. 7 minutes later, my first words I came back with is, true, there's a God, there's a higher source here. And I'd done, by the way, mushrooms and acid and ecstasy in the 90s and all of that, so I've partied, and I've done some, wild trips and stuff, but this was something different. This was like a near death. And this is me seeing my higher self and recognizing for the first time that there is something godlike going on here. My eyesight, I was super with my senses during this experience, but everything around me in the space that I was in, I was lying down on a chaise lounge outside, there was a swimming pool, and everything is light. Everything is just pulsing light and frequency. So I went and researched this DMT, spirit molecule, and I'm fairly sure now that this is an electromagnetic realm that we're living in, not a material rock like they try and tell us in Newtonian physics. And so I do go. Why I got off the sofa was because it's like, wow, our entire existence is a lie. Our entire story of who we are, and I was searching, honestly searching for that, and trying to understand why man is at war with itself, with religion, Islam, Christianity, and all of this. Why are we at war with each other? Why are we at war with nations? I went to war as a kid in a country called Angola. Why and why are we at war with each other? And when I travel around the world, I meet people who just want to be family and neighbors, and they might, like in this country, the Irish this or the French that or whatever. But this is stereotyping or programming from a story that we've been told about who these people are and why we might put our names on bombs that are going to drop on Russia now, because people believe the stories that they're told.
So you think we're on the same plane as Australia?
Oh yes, I know that.
You know that?
Yes.
So when you flush the toilet in Australia, why is it?
I used to believe that too, but it's all about the design of that. And when I was in South Africa, I recently...
Design of the toilet?
Well, the way the water enters into a thing will affect how it's going to go around.
Before you flush it, it's stagnant. That won't make any difference.
No, but the water's coming out from the... You see, a toilet has water jets, and it's that jet that's creating a force. So no, that thing of it goes down one way and goes down another way, there may be some truth in that. I wouldn't say that there's not, but that doesn't necessarily then doesn't prove that we're living on a spinning globe. Because if we live in an electromagnetic realm, and if, like Tesla said, there is an ether that's moving around us, that ether could be moving in one direction in the northern hemisphere and another direction, the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere. And I'll offer again my evidence that I witnessed myself that the moon rolls clockwise here in the north and anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere. So and when people say the star trails are moving in the opposite direction down there, fine, but that doesn't mean that we're on a ball. It points to something, and it's a hypothesis that we're on a ball, but it's not evidence that we're on a ball. So for me, the water thing is, but if you're wanting to think like that, you're wanting to think of reasons to shore up the belief that we've all been given.
But it is logical because it works. The sun, the rotation of the sun around the Earth.
Yeah.
So there's a dark side to the Earth, the sun doesn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of that stuff starts to fall apart when you look at eclipses, because, the eclipse is said to be like, the lunar eclipse is said to be with the Earth coming in front of the sun. And of course, there have been at least 12 or 15 observed times when the sun and the moon have both been above the Earth and the eclipse has occurred anyway. So there is this story of Ketu and Rahu, which are the ancients used to talk about two dark bodies in the sky, same size of the moon and the sun, and they would occlude them or occult them for every now and again in cyclical patterns. So these things can be explained. I mean, of course, when you're young and you say, okay, I see this round thing in the sky that is a light, you're then taught it's a fireball, you're then taught it's 93 million miles away, and you're taught that the moon is exactly 400 times smaller, but 400 times closer, and therefore they can cross in front of each other. When your senses are telling you that these are two orbs or two circles of light that are the same size. When you go and look at them, they're both the same size, and they probably local. And my evidence to you would be to look at the moon when it's a full moon or something like that, where there's clouds above you. Those clouds above you will be illuminated like a lamp was just above those clouds. But if you look 2 miles or 5 miles into the distance, it'll be dark. Now your friend, I've made this observation many times, so I offer you to make this observation and then just to question yourself, okay, how is that possible? If it's a light source that is 250,000 miles away and so bright that it's illuminating half of the Earth at the nighttime, then the entire blanket of cloud should be illuminated equally, because there's an equal light source that's arriving at the Earth. That's what we should see. But what we see, in fact, is just a headlight that's just in the clouds near us, illuminating and then dissipating within 2 or 3 miles of that light source. But you ask your friend who's 10 miles down in the dark to say, tell me what you see of the moon right now, they would say, no, it's illuminating just a mile around where I am, and it's dark where you are. So how does that work if it's one light illuminating the whole blanket of cloud? And these are things that I just never considered until I started going, how is this possible, you know? And I had to really go and study mainstream science again, what I learned at school and what they're teaching at university, what they're teaching in quantum physics classes. I went and learned all of this stuff so I could be sure that, shit, I'm not being hoaxed again and that my senses are true. I'm not moving. These things can be moving, and the ancients, like the Sumerians, were quite comfortable with the idea that it was the wandering stars that were moving and the canopy of lights that were moving above our head rather than we were spinning, and we were less significant. Because putting the Earth at the center means that this place was probably designed. And the light and the light of the day and the night are part of the system, and it was part of the design. And if it speaks to a designer, then I start to wonder whether that designer isn't actually us. That we might have, at the higher self, designed a world for us that was actually quite habitable, quite a nice Eden. There's animals and plants and all these sorts of things that we can eat, and created an environment for us to come and experience ourselves in, to come and taste and touch and feel. This is what I think it might be, is that there was an intention to put you here as you are, not wait billions of years for evolution, for big...
So you don't think evolution's real?
I used to believe it.
You used to believe it?
I used to believe it. I used to believe it.
What did you do when you left school then?
After the army, I did 2 years in the army, and then I traveled across America, and then I got a job as a fitness instructor after being in the restaurant game for a little while. Then I got a job as a civil servant in London, came to London, and I worked there from 94 until about 2005. I was in that kind of civil service thing, and then I was a consultant, like change management for local government. That's what I did till about 2010, 11. And then with my mother dying, it really threw me a bit of a wobbly, and I started reviewing my life. That's why I wrote the book about my wartime experience. And then I was offered some money. I was given some money because a veteran really loved my book, and he gave me some money, enough for me to stay away from work for a year. And I was like, I'm going to research and write a new book. This one on why Christianity and Islam, because I was quite atheist at that point, are at war with each other. And then I had the experience of, firstly, 9/11 may not have been what I used to believe. This was only 2014. 9/11 may not be what I thought it was. And then I had the DMT in 2015. And from then I go, okay, I'm willing to go back and look at the flat earth theory again, and because my whole reality has been deceived. You know, the second thing I said after the DMT was, first I said, true, there's a God. Second thing I said is that every person of the age of 16 should be offered this insight into who we are. If you were offered that insight, we would never go to war with each other. We would never stand on each other's neck to get ahead in some sort of corporate scam, working for the dead. Corporations are dead. Corpse oration is that speaking dead, and the living, which is you're the living man and the living woman, are enabling the dead through the corporation's banking, the Corporation of England, your police is a corporation. All of these things are corpse oration, and they're ruling over the living. If God exists in you and you've allowed the dead to rule over you, that is the most, what they call in religion, they call satanic, or, you know, that's the darkest thing that we could do, is say we're going to give the living less power than we are going to give the dead.
So you obviously filmed this.
It's live.
What live on what?
On YouTube.
On YouTube. So do
Now,
you profit from that live video?
No.
Do you make any money from it?
Well, some days a guy will send me a donation or two. That does happen. You know, I've been on the road now for 3.5 years.
So this is what you do as a job?
No. I raise I have a family, and I'm raising my 6-year-old child. I'm not sending him through the mainstream system. He doesn't have a birth certificate. Doesn't have any needles in him. No, he has a passport.
Anti-vaxxer.
I wouldn't say that either. But I'm not into needles. I'm into natural medicine, and nature only has needles in the form of thorns. Sometimes you'll stand on a thorn, but really you should not. It's really painful. So I advise people not to go on thorns as much as they can. Rather, but you know, use nature as his medicine and his well-being. He's a very healthy young man, very intelligent young boy.
But not vaccinated.
No, not, you know, when you're born, they give you a heel prick. Yeah, and that heel prick is right up your sciatic nerve, and your sciatic nerve rides right into your groin. So right at birth, you are given a kick in the nuts that is really uncomfortable, where you're blind and what have you, and you're scared, and you've just come out of your mother's protective cocoon. Now, pain, massive pain. You know, as an adult, standing on a thorn into your heel is like, oh damn, that was sore. So imagine you've just come out of the womb, and damn, that's a really blinding pain that is sent right into your seat of your safety, because your lower chakras down here in your groin are your seat, your root, or your elephant. That's where you get your sense of safety from. I believe that they do that on purpose to traumatize us, so that we are damaged. I've put a little dent in your keel from the moment you've arrived. So we are trying to raise. Anyway, that's what I do. I as much as I can. I was in South Africa for a year trying to help the Africans see through the deception of, you have sovereign right to say yes or no. This is your temple. I cannot invade in your temple in any way unless you say, oh yes, you come along and do that. But if I can get you to say, if I lean over your fence in the morning and say, would you mind slapping yourself in the face 3 times, young man, and you did it, then that's up to you. You've given away your consent. So when they send out mandates and stuff, they're actually asking for your consent, and they'll say, would you mind slapping yourself in the face or covering your face or doing whatever, and you go, oh yes, I'll do that. Then you've actually consented to it, so no foul on them. They frightened you into doing something that you probably shouldn't have done to yourself. So that's where I'm at with these things, is that, free to be your own master means that I can't interfere with your world. You and I verse, or universe, we can create, through our verse, we can create this world, and it can be one of heaven or it can be one of hell, one of love or one of fear and hate and all this sort of thing. And now while the government, which government means mind control, by the way, governmental, it comes from mente, it comes from the Latin, mente, to govern the mind. If I've got your mind, then you are no longer your own master. And you will tell, when I turn on the BBC tonight, it'll tell me what to think and what to do tomorrow. And that's not self-mastery. That's why I talk on self-mastery. And, eventually, maybe all of humanity doesn't wake up. Maybe this bifurcation, the separation of mankind into natural and non-natural beings, maybe that's going to continue, eating GMO stuff, artificial food. Did I give you my flyer?
Yeah.
So I've taken enough of your time. I can sense your energy of needing to leave. But I do appreciate you giving me your time. My name is Ed. Good luck. All the best.
I don't want to be filmed, thank you.
Okay. Do you want a flyer? Just information.
No, I'm just having a look, thanks.
Oh, well, free your mind. That's what we're here to help people free their mind. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying that. We're up to 51 likes, so that's pretty cool. Hope you're enjoying the to and fro here. We got some legends in the room, as you can see. To a point. Take my flyer. You may not have seen somebody's. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Earth is flat. This is terrible. People are just littering and graffiti. Hey folks, free your mind. We've been controlled from childbirth, from birth. Some information for you guys. Free your mind. Earth is not a globe. We don't live on a spinning ball. We don't evolve from monkeys. Welcome to the stream. We're in Bath, England. Bath is famous for having baths that the water is always level. We don't live on a spinning rock, my friend. Earth is flat, not a spinning ball. Earth is flat. Free your mind. We don't come from monkeys. That's all mind control. It's funny, actually, Jason is here, but he's not actually on his own phone. So what I'll do is, in a little while, is give you guys Jason, because, well, it's Jason's channel. And Jason came all the way from wherever he came from. Guys, free your mind. Earth is not a spinning ball. We cannot live on a rock in space. That's impossible. Thermodynamics demands that we have an enclosure. Can I offer you a flyer, some information? Earth is not a spinning rock. Earth is flat, not a globe. We're in Bath, like I said. This is actually the kind of down there is the sort of main center of Bath. Guys, we've been lied to about where we live. The moon landings are a hoax, and Earth is not a spinning ball. I forgot my microphone today, so I do apologize for the wind and any audio failings, although Jason said yesterday's stream had some audio problems. Hi guys, I've got some information for you. We've been lied to about who we are, where we are. Free your mind. Don't be a slave of the system. Do not be a slave of the system if you can help it. Find your own mastery, self-mastery through the truth that we do not live on a spinning ball. Globes in space make no sense.
No, thank you.
Gas giants do not stay together under their own gravity. That's a lie.
Like us.
Yeah. Electromagnetism. Electromagnetism. How nice it is to be here with Jason and Harry. Let me say hello to the chat room. I'm just going to drop to the bottom there. I'm sorry if I've missed any good conversation. Hey, F Viking, nice to see you, man. Rocks that float, legend. Yeah, man. Rocks don't float! Rocks don't float. We cannot live in a vacuum of space. The vacuum of space is designed as a lie to make you believe in aliens and the human race being anything other than the creation of God. We are the center of creation, heliocentric. Balls in space are designed to demean and diminish you. Free your mind, young man. There's still time, you know. There's still time to throw off the shackles of government, religion, and especially NASA scientism. The idea that man is in a vacuum, in a suit called a spacesuit, is a complete hoax. It's never been proven to be done. We've never put a man in a spacesuit on Earth. Earth is flat. NASA fake space, yes. Earth is flat. You cannot live on the underside of a ball. You play football on a pitch with a ball, but you don't play on a ball. Being on a ball is hard to balance. But coming from monkeys is easy to see from certain perspective. Got to be nice. Folks, we've been lied to about where we are. Free your mind from the prison of the globular deception. Hello, my brother. Yeah, you look good, man. Yeah, you take a photo and read it when you get home. Guys, we've been lied to about who we are. You don't live on a rugby ball. You play on a flat pitch.
Same time.
Just because you see balls in the sky does not mean you live on a ball. The religious orders lost control of the people, so they gave them science, scientism. They gave them NASA, the belief that you can go and land on a light in the sky called the moon. The moon landings are clearly a hoax. You really only need to do a few hours of your own investigation to realize that the moon landings were nothing more than 1960s cinematography. That's why Stanley Kubrick was working with NASA. That's why the guy who took us to the moon said, God, show us this handiwork. There is a firmament above us. Did you know that Walt Disney and NASA work hand in hand to produce outer space? The International Space Station is a fake fraud where they do spacewalks in a swimming pool. Spacewalks are done in a swimming pool, and the spacesuit has never been tested in a vacuum chamber. Did you know that? Did you know the vacuum chamber is nowhere near as powerful as space, and yet we take men in there all the time? The moon landings were a hoax. Moon landings were a hoax, and you cannot walk on a light in the sky. We cannot even get rockets to 100 miles high. Guys, I know you've had a lot of school brainwashing, but take my flyer. Check it out in your own time. Nothing I've got, nothing that I'm offering is deception, but your schooling is designed to control your mind. Well, I'm running a live stream at the moment. 70 people.
How's it
No.
going?
Hey? Yeah.
Am I on the
Yeah, you might be. But yeah, free your mind. Free your mind.
Yeah, fuck the schools.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that it's all designed to turn you into good slaves, so that they ring the bell and you have to stand in line. Now you have to be quiet. You love that part?
No, I don't.
Yeah, but you get used to that. I went to school, but my little boy, he doesn't go to school. I educate him myself. Why? I'm smart enough to educate him myself. But he doesn't need to be told that he comes from apes.
Why have you wrecked there?
He doesn't need to be told he comes from apes. That's okay.
He wrecked it. He wrecked it.
Have you heard of fundamentalism, Muslim fundamentalism? When I say that you cannot come from monkeys, there is an element of fundamentalism in this need. Yeah, sure. This need to say I definitely come from monkeys. You do not come from monkeys. You were created by the Creator. Perfect. I say that God, whatever God is, might be inside you. You might actually be the Creator.
Yeah, I'm tired of the cream.
Yeah. So I wish you well. I wish you well, young people. They can get a little bit uppity. So, hey, Jason.
Yeah.
You all right, man? That was a good
We've had
comment.
some good conversations.
I've had some great conversations. Yeah. How about you?
I had a guy come at me with like on a sociology angle.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
can't keep him over. That was an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
That was totally indoctrinated in his
Yeah.
belief system.
Yeah.
He said, I just want to know kind of like why it is that you believe in such
Yes,
a way.
yes.
And then when I told him, he flipped it on its head and wanted to score points with me. I said, do you want to know what I want? What I know?
Yeah. It's called the anatomy of belief. You know, why people believe in conspiracy theories. There's this need for them to be right and all this sort of stuff. And it's such a 180 degrees from the truth of, wow, you can't look at these conspiracies because it's just too uncomfortable for your mind. I wanted to offer you, Jason, the chance to hold the camera for a while if you want.
Oh, yes.
So I'll just freelance and do you want the battery as well?
Yeah, just we'll keep it all going.
All right. We got 55 likes and 54 in the room, so I think there's a few people that are being a bit thumb shy. I want to see a few more likes for the team here.
Right, there you go. What? And it's become pretty freezing here. Hey, are you cold?
Yeah, I'm all right for now. I've got
a few Okay. Right, so we've got.
I've been doing some cold activism a few months ago, so
All right.
this is not too bad. But yeah, it's windy.
All right, so we've got Harry here. Harry's having a good conversation. I'll see you later, everyone. Bye. Yeah, it's a cold place here. It's absolutely freezing. It's absolutely freezing. But I'm enjoying myself. Hi guys. I've been pulling out. I've had a little trick up my sleeve all day that I've been showing them a new meme that I come up with. Let's see if I can show you guys. So I did a new meme last night. I don't know if you can see that. See that? You'll have to pause that later. But basically, you know, like it's about how much a let's say is it SR72? I think it is SR72. Let me see if we can get that in focus. After 1 hour travelling, would be 2,200 miles. To maintain a cruise altitude of 85,000 feet, the plane would have to drop its nose. Oh, I can't even read that. 849 feet per second, or it would reach an altitude of over 500 miles, which obviously in 2 seconds or 2 or 3 seconds, that's the height of the tallest building in the world. So every 2 or 3 seconds, that SR72 would have to drop his nose the height of the tallest building in the world, which obviously seems nonsense. And someone mentioned, you know, like, well, if you put an autopilot on, you wouldn't feel it. But whether the autopilot was on or wasn't, it'd be like you'd have either butterflies or, if not, weightlessness, dropping the height of the tallest building in the world.
Satellites, which is incredible.
You know.
So you believe that every government on the planet is lying about satellites together? You think that the USA, China, and Russia all fucking agree? You're a fucking idiot.
That's good science for you.
That's good. That could have been a good conversation. He should have stuck around.
Yeah,
that could have been really good. I think he was a little bit triggered there. I think was it satellites triggered him a little bit.
We're stuck in a ball.
Sorry?
We're stuck in a ball on a thingy planet was spinning.
Whoa.
Through space.
Oh,
How would you actually...
That would be great if we could prove that.
So
we've got a thing like parallax,
so
we've got the North Star, and we get to see that it's been there for year after year since time ever began, and it's still there in the same place. And we're meant to be spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're meant to be corkscrewing around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and then and we're travelling at 500,000 miles an hour, and we're doing about 4 different directions, and yet all these stars the following year, they're just all in the same place.
We're not going through 4 different directions, we're going through a straight line.
Well, yeah, but we're spinning. Don't forget, but we're spinning as well, and then we're going around the sun, and the sun's going that way as well.
Yeah, but we stay on the same line, we stay on the same rotation.
But that's what I'm saying. But we're spinning, so we're doing 4 different directions. You here, stood here right now, is actually going in 4 different directions like this, and then going round.
Gravity is what pushes us down.
Sorry?
Gravity is what pushes us down to the ground.
It's meant. Well, which theory is that? Is that Einstein's or is that Newton's?
It's like
so
you
that's
sit on a train.
So
you
that's
sit on a train, yeah.
That's
you don't feel the force of that pulling you, and then look how fast it's going.
Right. So that's Newton's.
No, but you are stuck inside
that's
that
Newtonian gravity that you're referring to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the same
That everything's pulling you to the to the ground right now.
You sit on anything, yeah, like a train. Yeah. You go fucking. You can go 400 miles an hour. Yeah. That you are not feeling that force going if you're inside of that container.
Okay. Well, I just mentioned
when
these
you're on
to
a
a few
plane,
people.
it goes up to now, it's 600 miles an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, and you
Right.
are stuck in that plane, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you feel that force when you're up there just floating along? You don't, because it's not.
Okay. Well, let's look at this. Let's look at speeds. That's the SR7. I think it's the SR72. Travels at 2,200 miles an hour. Okay. After 1 hour, it would obviously travel at 2,200 miles. To maintain a cruising altitude of 85,000 feet, that plane would have to drop its nose 849 feet per second, or it would start gaining altitude up to 549 miles. Okay, so obviously after 2,000 miles in
you
an
are
hour.
still stuck on the contained unit. The force of the gravity and inside the actual stratosphere, that's why it carries on taking you down.
So the force of gravity.
That's why they've got planes that go up, they've got actual planes that come out and stick their head nose
so
out
the
into
force
space.
of gravity is pulling that plane down every 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds, the height of the tallest building in the world. The force of gravity. That's what you're saying. It's pulling that plane down. The
Just
height
like when
of
you
the
send a
tallest.
rocket up, a rocket
So
yeah?
force of gravity. If I'm on a bike, force of gravity.
You pull it and push it. Yeah, it keeps you down to the ground, and you feel the force hit you.
Again, can that not just be relative density? You're overcomplicating it
Can,
with this
because once you
magical
get
gravity.
Once you get faster, it's more stable. Once you go slower, it all just drops between your legs.
Again, you're overcomplicating it with magical theories.
It's not magical theory.
It is the proof it.
How does that big magic bit of weight get up in
Show,
the air?
tell me
tons do
one
you think that
person
plane
that's
is?
proved the existence of gravity. Who is that person?
How much weight do you think that plane is?
Well, it's relative to whatever
So-
plane
so
it
it's-
is.
the
Which
only
plane are we
reason why
talking
that thing
about?
gets up in the air, yeah, a Boeing. The only reason why a Boeing goes up in the air and stays up in the air is because aerodynamics.
Okay, yeah, we'll agree
There's
there.
no other way that plane would ever get off that fucking runway. Yeah?
Okay, but right, I don't see your point.
Yeah?
Okay.
We wouldn't have all that power and that force to get up into the air.
Right.
Yeah? There would be no other way of that plane being able to even get up into that atmosphere if there's no force of gravity and pushing towards it, pulling down. because it won't go up.
Oh, I'm sorry, you lost
It's
me.
Gravity pushing
Lost
towards
me.
you.
You lost me.
It is.
You lost me. It's nice talking to you.
You don't-
No, no,
this
you
is
lost
it.
me.
We have got gravity, mate, pulling towards us at all costs.
Okay.
The faster you become, mate, the more gravity pushes towards you, mate.
The faster you become.
Faster things become, the more force becomes towards it.
Okay.
So there is a
You've lost me.
gravitation.
You've
It's
lost
just
me.
like there's a terminal velocity. Terminal velocity, whatever drops down stays at the same speed. You don't get any faster, only because of the body weight. If you're falling, yeah, your body only goes to a certain speed and then
Right,
it stays
okay,
there and
right.
falls down.
So it does speed up
But
until it
goes,
reaches.
the closer it gets to the earth, the more it slows itself back down before it hits the
Until
earth.
it reaches terminal velocity. Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Nice
Or
talking
there
to
won't be
you.
any gravity there.
Yeah, too difficult for me. I couldn't have a conversation. It was too difficult. Yeah, sorry guys. Live stream. It wasn't. For some reason, I plugged it in for Dave, and he wasn't charging. I think we're okay now. I think we're charging. Let me just double check. And yes, we are charging. Anyway, so Dave's here. Let's have a look at that. We'll go from behind. Oh god, that was he was hard work. He was. And sometimes when people are really hard work, I don't enjoy it. I just think I need to move on. Harry is talking to the guy who was triggered about satellites with Dave. Anyway, I won't get in on the conversation. Yeah, so we should be okay for battery now. So fingers crossed. I'll keep an eye on it. You know what's good about here, guys? It's like just these two guys here walking past. And what's really good is that most people, couples that walk past, they immediately start having a conversation about what Earth's flat. And even if they disagree, or like mate, he just shook his head. Even if they do that, that's fantastic, because you know that's a conversation that he's having with his wife, with his brother, with his dad, or anything later on. You know, just seeing these flat earthers or crazy flat earthers, but they're having that conversation, and that's great. That's more than what you can hope for. Yeah, I enjoyed it today. I've actually enjoyed not having a camera today and speaking to a few people. I think Harry's having a respectful conversation. I think Dave struggled a little bit before. I wonder if we can get in. We'll get the audio. We'll see if we can get an audio on it. I won't put the camera in his face.
It's just there on your nightstand for when you want to have a look.
It's like somebody says the Bible. You can see it, have a look at it. Have a look at it, right?
I have. I read it quoted. It's disgraceful. No one should be following their lives to it.
Yeah, it's been a nice day here today, Stuart. Ah, you know what? It's a shame Harry hasn't got his camera out. It sounds like a really good conversation. Yes. And Dave is making his mark. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't prove we live on a globe. You have to believe you live on a globe. You can't prove it. It's a belief. It's a religion. That's it. It's a religion.
I was going to say, don't be embarrassed what your friends think. Right. So, hi Kimmy. Long time no see, Kimmy. Oh, it's actually quite pleasant seeing a load of people I haven't seen for a long time come on these channels. I've been a bit quiet, I have. First of all, I had to suspend my Facebook account. I was job hunting, and it's the last thing that you want people to see when you're job hunting is anything to do with COVID, anything to do with flat earth, anything to do with anything, you know. So I had to suspend it for a little while. Make sure I get my job first, get my foot in the door. Once I got my foot in the door, see, I've got my contract now, and now I've opened up my Facebook channel now. I don't care what they think or what they see now. That's okay. Yeah, a little bit quiet. Not many people stopping. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. It's been this is on a dreaded 5G phone. The thing is, my argument about it's not the technology of 5G phones that should be concerning. 5G is around you, whether you got the phone in your hand or not. It's everywhere, you know, like, and wherever you think about 5G, I mean, you wouldn't want to live next to one of these 5G towers, definitely not. But it's still bloody useful. We've all had really bad streams in the past, you know, but I actually turn my phone off overnight, this phone. I don't have it in my bedroom anywhere near me. But remember, 5G is all around you, it's everywhere. Have we had any operatic from Dave yet? Maybe, because we've had no opera from you today.
Oh, there was some opera earlier.
Was it a little bit? Just a little bit.
I haven't really opened up. But
you know what? That's why everybody's here. They hang on it. They're waiting for it.
Fucking ways. No fucking ways. Really not. I could do with a little bit more like people. You know, I do feel like it's better when there's a lot of people. Like shouting just to 5 people in the space around you feels weird.
That's why it's nice down there, but it's too windy.
Yeah.
It's quiet. It's better here at the moment, but and it's sunny there as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, we could do with some sun.
Yeah, but it's too blowy down there. Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. I asked. There's no opera coming. Yeah. I'd like to live in a place where there's no signals of any kind, no radio waves, anything. I'd love to live in a place like. That's why I suppose I like sailing. Get out there on your yacht and all of that disappears. You know, we don't want to be around all these radio waves all around us everywhere. AM, FM, 5G. Yes, yeah. Oh, it's actually. I am. I'm with these guys here. Yeah. Have you come across it before?
Well, I've heard some stories about it.
Okay. I hope not mainstream stories, because a lot of propaganda.
Do you know Dave Murphy?
Oh yes, yeah, of course. He's a friend of mine.
So I watch him.
Right.
In fact, he's doing a talk, not near, not somewhere near.
About the mortgages and things.
He's doing a talk in Hot Village very soon.
Yes. I'll be going to the one when he comes a little bit more down to Devon way. I'll be going to one of them.
Right. So this is what you're saying, aligned to him, yeah?
Yes.
So you're saying that the Earth is flat. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I did.
Rather than me read all this, it'll take.
No,
ages.
that's right. I did 6 months studying the heliocentric model to try and prove to myself that we do live on a globe, without the aid of NASA and photographs and all that, to prove to myself. Because are you okay on camera or keep it away? Are you okay on camera or keep it away? Yes, camera. I keep it away from you.
Are you recording me?
I'm aiming that way. I was asking your permission.
Oh, you can aim that there, yeah.
Yeah, I can aim it over there.
But it's not recording me.
It's not recording you. No, it's okay. So I at a young age, I and yourself, we all believed in a globe, and you know, up until the age of like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it was a given. We lived on a globe. We knew, like the air that we breathe, we knew. Okay?
Listen, you're not going in there. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Are you with a group?
At the moment, there's 3 of us
Who
here.
are you? Who are you with? Like, are you?
There's
are you
three of us here.
But what? Have you got a group that I can go to and look?
No,
Or is
no,
this
no,
someone that
yeah.
you're just doing this independently?
You can go on. There's an app that you can put on your phone. It's called the Flat Earth and Zodiac Moon Clock. Just put Flat Earth in, on your app, and you can install that. And it's got all the questions that you could possibly think of. But you can also ask Dave Murphy as well. He's got a website as well. I don't know if you've been on that, and he's got bags of information.
Yeah. Okay, so you're talking about flat Earth.
Yeah.
Are you talking about anything else as well?
No, just mainly Flat Earth.
You're saying God is within you there.
This is Dave's manners himself.
Yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Moon landing. Well, you see, on a flat Earth, there could never have been a moon landing. It has to be a light in the sky, like it says in the Bible. It's a light. Born in Dawson, raised in South Africa.
And now you're back here.
No, I'm back here. I was in South Africa last year, telling the Africans not to give up their God-given sovereignty.
Absolutely.
Because we're having our sovereignty robbed from us bit by bit, and the last 3 years have been great evidence of that. So for me, starting to unpick or unravel the deceptions of a game that has us believing in different religions and in a science that has monkeys giving birth to humans and all of that sort of stuff. It's like we're giving away our God essence, if you like, our connection to the Creator, whatever that might be. So I try and inform people, and the moon landing, just on the moon landing hoax, it just catches some people's attention, because some people accept that there was the moon landings were a hoax, but they won't go further and they'll say, oh, it's because the Americans versus the Russians, or all of this sort of stuff. They won't go further and go, well, can we prove that they actually, if they didn't land on the moon, then that photo everybody has of the Earth in space is a fake, is a hoax.
So this is your bit here.
Yeah.
And this is from the
This
other
is my
bit.
bit. No, this is also mine. No, well,
So this is your website here?
oh, that's my lovetruthsovereignty.com. That's my website, and I'm 24. But my YouTube channel is down at the moment because I say things that I'm not supposed to say, according to I'm head of YouTube censorship. So my friend Jason is streaming on his channel, but Jason Nisbury, so you should check that out.
So you're based in the UK at the moment?
Yes.
In Devon?
In Somerset. Somerset, yes.
You're in this area?
Yeah, temporarily. Temporarily, next month or two.
Okay.
I'm going to be in, where is it, that place on the coast that's so popular. Jeffrey Archer lived there.
Oh.
Gosh, doesn't matter.
I'm not sure.
I'm moving on in a few weeks'
Devon,
time.
Cornwall?
In also in Somerset.
Somerset.
Yeah, I should be thinking. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm in the area. You're local, are you?
I just moved here a few weeks ago.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
congratulations. We love.
Thank
This
you.
is a lovely
It
city.
is lovely. And so I'm into all this.
Oh, right. Have you come across mud flood? Mud flood.
Mudflake, no.
Mud flood.
Mudflood, no.
Yeah. So like the Noah's flood story.
Yeah.
Well, we think that might have happened just a few hundred years ago, and that the cities that we dwell in were flooded out. Behind left was a sediment that covers 10 or 20 foot of the original building. So now we use the first floor, the second floor as the ground floor, but beneath us, and you see that so much here in Bath, there's so much construction beneath the ground, apparently done by people with a horse and cart. Well, it doesn't make sense, particularly when you see windows at street level, water ingress that's really hard to manage, doors. I've seen doors and windows below ground level that lead into the mud. So we think that we were flooded a few hundred years ago. Exactly how long, not sure. But the story goes that these cities were completely obliterated, and then we were reseeded, or people were brought back through the founding program. They brought back children and raised them in these cities and sent them to work, sent them to school, workhouses and so on. And then eventually they had children who went to school, and then the indoctrination took up from there and just gave us a history of how the last 2,000 years or 5,000 years have panned out. But I'm fairly sure that the story of us coming out of the caves 12,000 years ago, out of Africa, then taming animals to become cows and sheep, and then learning how to grow grass into wheat and all this. None of that's true. This place was created with all of those entities already in existence. that the cows and the sheep were already here, that the grasses or the rice and all these things were already here, and that there was a high culture here once upon a time.
Okay, can I just intervene there? I'm extremely interested in what you're saying about everything, and I'm just wondering what your thoughts and feelings are about let's say, the not too distant future. Can you talk at all about that for a
the
few
not too
minutes?
distant future. Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Well, I
two
mean,
things happening. There's loads and loads of prophecies.
Yeah.
Lots of different things being said by lots of different people.
Yeah.
Probably most of them are lies.
yeah,
I'm wondering, because I am into truth.
yeah. Me too, as much as possible.
I'm really into truth.
And I don't have, I don't work for anyone, or I don't carry a flag for any organization or group or anything like that.
Yeah.
I do want for creation to have the best possible chance
Absolutely.
going forward. But I think that there is an entity or an energy here that doesn't have the best interests of human story at
Yes.
heart.
Yeah.
And so there is an intention to mislead
Yeah.
and send humanity over the cliff, as it were.
Yeah.
And that over the cliff looks like smart cities, lockdown, 15-minute
Exactly.
cities, and
Exactly.
monitoring of every moment of your
Yeah.
life, and the medication of every moment of your life, and the giving up of the natural way in favor of the digital way, or the AI way, or the someone else does the thinking for me. I just have to turn up. I turn my human avatar into a virtual robot by wearing the devices and going at a certain time when the bell rings. I do this and I do that, and I do all the various things that I'm told to do. That's the one option. On the other side is of the bifurcation, as it's called, is that mankind realizes the trick and says, I'm going to create a new river or a new path or a different way. And that way is going to be more aligned with natural order, natural law, natural order, and natural raising of children in a way that is with the land rather than with the GMO, pesticide and all that kind of stuff on the other side. So, but I will say I think that this place is cyclical. So maybe there is. It's just the way of nature that this place gets every 200 or 400 years. There is an event that causes a cleansing, if you like, a purification of that space. And those people that are in that space may then end that life cycle and start anew something else. But for me, what I'm trying to do is to say over the next 10 years, find that way further and further to cut the ties from the smart grid and become far more self-sufficient, sovereign, master of my own ship, not at the behest of some other AI or corporate entity.
Yeah.
Corporate entities are dead. We are the living representation of God or the creation.
So my inspiration is consciousness.
Consciousness,
Yes. So the each person's vibration.
Yes.
And the love they bring to their heart
Yes.
area.
Yes.
That's what my inspiration is, and that's what I'm trying to do my best to find more about.
Awesome.
So, so I love this.
Awesome.
Okay. So, like, we are all in the divine mind of God.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And I recently discovered Mary Baker Eddy. Do you know this person?
This is Christian
Christian science.
Yeah, I've studied a little bit of that.
Okay, so I've just been learning about that, and it's just lovely talking to you. And so, do you have any thoughts about the near distant future?
Well, I've said for a while that what happened in 2020 was like a training event, a practice run for something far more intense to come our way. So that seems to me in the offing. Whether the mechanism that brings that about is a banking collapse or a collapse in confidence of the governments and that kind of thing, I can't be sure. They could even come up with that chicken bird flu thing and then say, there's so many ways that they can then take what they learned from the operation 2020, 2021. They're going to apply that. It was definitely designed as like a starting gun for another world control or a reason, as I would say, problem, reaction, solution. And so they're going to create more. There is the ongoing creation of problems. Hobgoblins, as Mencken said, never-ending series of hobgoblins to frighten the populace, so we can control them.
Yeah, there's so many stuff being given to us, in the media, And a lot of people are saying, do not consent.
Yeah.
Like, do not consent. Because we have created this on a certain level of our being,
From our own fear.
So it's from our fear, exactly. So it's like that. A lot of people haven't got the courage to say, do not consent.
Yes. But they need to be emboldened. That's why we come out into the street to try and embolden people and say,
I
hey,
know, it's
actually, I should not consent. The Africans that I contacted with in 2021, 22, they were so grateful to have someone say, oh, wow, we need to hear people say these things so that we can feel stronger in ourselves to say, no, this is my body, my integrity, and you don't get to step over that
So
line.
can I get to you from your website?
You can.
I'll send you an email?
There's an email contact.
What's your name?
My name is Dave.
Dave, okay.
What's your name?
My name is Dean.
Dean.
Dean, nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you, Dean. And it's all about love. I had an experience in 2015 that showed me that we come from a place of love, and we're pitted against each other in this Game of Thrones kind of hell, if you like. And so we've got the winning of this game is for us to learn to counter that, or to go in against, or be the antidote or the antithesis of what the system is trying to create in us. Divided, separated, hating each other, or together, even though we each have our own paths and we must respect our own ideals and stuff, we should be working in harmony to harness nature, because nature has so much abundance, so much energy to give us, and if we use that, we wouldn't have this shortage, lack, fear, and running out of this and overpaying for that.
So I'm going to look at your website and I will send you an email.
Love to talk to you.
The group I belong to, we just started doing little talks ourselves.
Okay.
So
Well,
they're always looking for.
if you want to invite me or my friends to come and talk, by all means, I'll give you one or two of my other flyers. This is one on the electromagnetic hue.
Oh, right.
And I've just got a little spiel on the back there.
Lovely.
Some of that you might find on my website too.
Lovely, thank you.
But really, that's my flat Earth is just the gateway truth to realizing the electromagnetic nature of you and the microcosm out there.
Do you know Alan Miller?
No. But it'd be nice to talk to you again.
Yeah.
And I love getting around to share this with open minds. So
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you both. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, she's going off to one of Dave Murphy's.
Oh, he's on tour, right?
And she's going to one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, No, I mean, the thing that's different about like Dave's message, we've done obviously activities together, but the thing that's different from what I try and say is that I don't have to have no belief in a religious kind of segment, because for me, the moment you say that, you're putting yourself in a classroom, in a box, in a school, and by doing that, you're excluding yourself from anyone who might have a different, say you're a Muslim or whatever. It's like, okay, I can't be in that club. There's no way a Muslim is going to come into that club.
Yeah.
So my message is one more of like, we don't need these dogmas to define ourselves. These things are far peripheral from the true story of who we are, which transcends any writing of any book. And the choosing, which is really what it is the book that you prefer over anyone else. And even in Christianity, there's got people who go, no, it's this book and it's this version, and I know people who are Plymouth Brethren, and that's a pretty staunch version of Christianity. We saw the Jehovah's Witnesses earlier. That's another version of Jesus as the Savior, and they completely think that they're the 144,000, they're the chosen ones, and so on. In fact, we're still playing the division game. Any of these things. So that would be what I'd say on that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Enjoy yourself today?
I've had fun, yeah. I've had a really quite a good time, and it's been awesome to have you here. And Harry, of course.
Yeah, I've had a few good discussions. I've quite enjoyed myself.
These work well, the chalk on the floor, right?
Yeah,
It
of course.
really catches
No,
people's
yeah, they do.
attention.
Because I stood over there, and the amount of people are before they've even seen this, and they're saying, "What? Yes, flat? What's going on?"
Yeah, because I think people aren't looking up enough, so they're not going to see these banners necessarily.
Yeah.
But they're looking down a lot, and they'll see what's on the floor.
Yes. This is a matey who Harry's talking to, who you triggered about satellites.
Yeah. So Harry's trying his is wizardry on him. Actually.
Well, there you go.
He's
Yeah.
doing well. He's having a good
Well,
conversation.
we've always said that, just because you might not get through to someone else might get through to that person, and just
different angles.
yeah.
We'll see.
Anyway, guys, I imagine we'll see how it goes. Might be cutting the live stream soonish. Not sure when, but very soon. I think Harry's got through to that guy. Yeah, that's really good. I like to see that Harry's, making way. It's a shame he didn't have any of that on film. Unless he's got that switched on.
Yeah.
He had a good conversation with astrophysicist before.
Oh, really?
And he said, "Oh, did you have a camera on?" No.
Oh.
And it's just, kick yourself, can't you?
Yeah. Take a fly out, my friend.
Yes, these they are very powerful. They do start a conversation. Something as simple as that. That's all it needs. Let's get a different perspective over here. See Dave in action. Yeah, a lot of people are just walking past, and sometimes having the banners right in the middle, smack them in the face with it. Sometimes that's a bit more powerful. What we did was, me and Harry and Torquay, I think it was. Yeah, taking pictures. Maybe she's just taking a picture of you. You're a good-looking chap.
No, I think I'd much rather them take a picture of my flat, my big flat earth.
Yeah.
It's pretty large. I like going large with chalk these days.
I'm getting a little bit tired of the music down there now. Wants to change the song. It's like fishing, it is. Just a few little comments. It's like fishing. And he's got them hooked. But it's now trying to keep them on the reel, just start pulling that line back ever so gently. And then it'll be one that got away. Cheers, mighty Adam. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, these old banners have been going for a long time now. These were my first ever banners that I put together quite a few years ago now. I think these are the original ones, I think. So they've lasted. And it was just a talking point, just to get people talking. I've already started planning my next set of banners. I don't know if I'll pull it off though. I'm trying to come up with 6 different types of banners, 6 of them. It's kind of what one's all about the history of and why it is that we believe on the heliocentric model. And then there's one that's all about space. And the Apollo landings and the International Space Station and satellites.
We live in a form of Disneyland.
Yeah, and then there's a lot there about things that we see too far. Haven't really got that on this one. Yeah, we do. We see too far. So, and how to challenge that. So, kind of like a couple of steps there, you know, on how to challenge, you know, where it is that you live. You know, with a telescope or zoom camera, on what the Earth calculation, which is not meant to be accurate after so many miles, but it's meant to be very accurate if you're just looking over, you know, 10-50 miles or something. If you're seeing that far, you know, things that you shouldn't be seeing. And as I say, we've got here 50 miles, you know, should be 1,667 feet drop. You know, so if you travel 50 miles in an aeroplane and you haven't dipped your nose 1,667 feet, then you should have gained in altitude 1,667 feet. Would that not be logical? Would it?
Did you see that guy yesterday? I'm going to meet with told me it must be a globe because these numbers match with Fibonacci.
Yeah, yes.
I'm thinking about, you know, just because they've given us numbers that match with some other sequence, how can that be proof that we must be living on a globe?
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. But that was interesting. I haven't looked into that
Yeah.
yet. Did you
No,
have
I
a
haven't
look?
looked into that.
No.
But you know, whether that be true or not, it doesn't prove.
No, it doesn't prove that at all.
That, you know, you begin a mathematical formula.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah.
a lot of the globe heads that would say, no, it's not 8 inches, it's
Yeah.
7.4289 inches or whatever.
Yeah.
So that.
But it was interesting.
Those numbers do come into question themselves.
Yes.
And by the way, as I always say, the 8 inches per mile squared is, in my opinion, a form of relativity and still a hoax.
Okay, regardless of that, I mean, like, still up to like 50 odd miles, there's still has to be a drop of some sort.
Yeah.
You know, 100
well,
miles.
1,600 feet at 50 miles. The problem, I think, the thing is, the problem with this, when you say someone there's 8 inches in the next mile, they're not like, oh, I can't really see the 8 inches, can I? You know, from a mile away,
No,
8 inches is
no.
hard to see, let's
No,
be
that's
honest.
right, that's right.
And so that's why I think a lot of people go, I can't really see it. But if as
Yeah.
I say, that if the sphere was perfectly spherical and you had 600 meters of drop in the next kilometer,
yes,
then you would know it was not there. You'd say, shit, there's obviously not 600 meters per kilometer. Free your mind, mate. You've been lied to about the globe. You don't know about the wall. You don't know about free your mind. It's loads of
Fibonacci, eh? Yes. Yeah, but it is interesting that I will look at them numbers a little bit more, and them guys taking pictures, have a little look. You know what? They're both the same. No, they're not quite the same. I haven't actually had a proper look at this. I don't know if you guys have. Let's have a look and see what it says. Oh, there's a lot of people. Okay, Earth is not flat. We live on a flat plane within electromagnetic realm. Solar, flat Earth, cosmology. Above is disinformation. Okay, that's good. This radio from the Jet Commons. That's good. That bit's good. Yeah, it's not bad. It's okay. I mean, I see stuff like this, but I'm not sure how you would go about proving that. You know, it just seems like for me, like another belief system. It may be very true, but I don't know how that fits in with the things that I can prove. I don't know. I think it's comes into belief and faith again. Might be very, very true. I don't know. But it's certainly interesting. I get it. I do. You know, I kind of get it, but I'm not sure how you can prove all of this. Very interesting. I mean, there's lots of things, you know, like a lot of it's all like mainstream science. You know, like you just got to believe it, you know, which is my evidence. I don't know if you've seen that. Look at that. That's mad. That is absolutely crazy. In 1 year, how big the whole of America went in size, it grew. It is. Still, have you come across it? Have you come across it before?
Sorry?
Have you come across it before?
Which part of it? The whole flat theory? Yeah.
All right. And what's your assessment of it all?
I personally don't believe, but I'm interested in learning.
No, well, that's great. You know, so you're kind of open-minded to certain parts of it seem interesting. Some of it.
I'm just sort of open-minded in general.
Oh, right.
In general, sorry. If someone can prove something to me with facts,
Yeah.
I will believe them. That's right.
Good on you, because I wasn't open-minded. I thought, oh God, complete and utter nonsense. You know, I always say, you know, if I met me in the street, I'd think, oh God, this guy's crazy and want to walk on. But no, good on you if you're open-minded in that. I put one little bit of evidence yesterday, so it's a bit. I don't know if you've. There's a little meme I put together, which I don't know if you can get your head around it.
Sorry, I'm slightly short. So,
No, that's okay. I'll try and zoom in. It says that bottom one is the SR71 or 72 or something. Blackbird, that's it. It goes 2,200 miles per hour. Okay, so after travelling 1 hour, it would have done 2,200 miles. Makes sense?
Yeah.
To maintain a let me hit that. Retain a cruising altitude of 85,000 feet, it would have to drop its nose 849 feet per second. Otherwise, you know, like after 2,000,
straight off into space.
You're into space. Yeah. I mean, if space is 62 miles away, so or reach an altitude of 569 miles. Well,
569 miles.
So
like that's stratospheric.
That's way into space, isn't it? So we're looking at 849 feet per second. The highest building in the world is 2,200. So let's say, you know, average 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds, he's got to drop his nose.
For in 3 times.
The tallest building in the world. Sorry, yes. The tallest building in the world, which kind of. And all of these planes have to drop their nose 57 feet per second, 76 feet per second, 66 feet per second. The top one only has to drop 2.83 feet per second. It's only a little Cessna. But they've all got to drop these massive heights, all of these big commercial planes. And we'd feel that. We would feel something. Especially that plane. The autopilot, whether it be an autopilot that's on or he's doing it manually, 850 feet, you know, like dropping down in 3 seconds from the tallest building in the world, you'd feel that. You'd not only feel that, you'd either have butterflies in there, you know, it'd be like the biggest roller coaster ride that you've ever been on, or you'd probably get weightlessness. You know, you'll probably be floating as you're dropping every second at 850 odd feet.
That would be going constantly, right? Constantly dropping.
Constantly dropping every second. Drop.
Yeah.
But no plane flies like that.
I'm just thinking purely from a round spherical Earth.
Yes.
Model. Gravity would be attracting you to its centre.
I thought that. I did. I thought that. It crossed my mind that gravity would, if gravity was pulling that down to what they say gravity is. So if it's, let's say a plane that size, that weight, that density, if it's pulling it down 850 feet per second, if you had another plane roughly the same size density, okay, would it not still be pulling that down at 850 feet per second?
Same size, same density, same mass.
Same mass,
well,
yeah.
Yes.
That would make sense.
If it would just stopped in the sky, it would.
Yeah, 850, and yet wouldn't we notice the difference between that blackboard? Because that Blackbird and let's say an Airbus A380, that's only dropping its nose 57 feet per second, not 850 feet per second. So why the big difference? Surely gravity would be.
It's flying constantly and its nose is going down.
You'd have to literally force his nose down,
Yeah.
and that would make sense. I would buy that if he was forcing his nose down.
So that would be happening constantly. Right?
Yeah, he'd have to have a different angle of attack to
Yeah.
to kind of program in the curvature of the Earth.
As far as my knowledge of physics and physiology goes, human bodies don't feel acceleration, which is what it would be. They feel jerk, the rate of change of acceleration. So if it's
no,
constant,
they
you
feel
feel
acceleration. They don't feel constant.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if they constantly pointing their nose down, and constantly having to drop 3 Burj Khalifas and constantly flying in one direction and then dropping, the human body wouldn't be able to feel that. We're not built to feel that, are we?
But I would think that the weightlessness, because that we still do, we have what's it called, the zero G airplanes.
Yeah.
And they do weightlessness, and I don't think they're dropping their nose at 850 feet per second.
No. The weightlessness planes, the way they do it, I remember
Because they do
seeing-
the parabolic up and down.
Yes, it's the down
Yes.
that makes you feel the weightlessness,
Yeah.
which is because you're constantly accelerating. You're,
So you're saying it's the acceleration that is making the weightlessness, and not the fact that you're just going down in a constant.
Sorry, could you?
You're saying that the zero G aeroplane, it's actually accelerated faster down, that's creating the weightlessness, or is it just the fact that it's because I thought they stay at the same speed and then they just go up and over?
I'm pretty sure
They accelerate?
They put their engines on and rate of change of acceleration.
All right, I
That's
didn't know
usually
that. I'll have to
yeah.
look into that. But yeah, no, that's interesting, that part. I'll have to look into that. Yes. But anyway, so thought for what's it? What do they call it? Food for thought.
Yeah, food for thought.
Good.
Thank you very
That's what it's
much.
about.
Can I give you my flyer?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Whoops. Thank
Nice
you very
talking to you. There you go. I like my aeroplane meme. It is food for thought. Yeah, I didn't think to bring in zero G. I'm going to have to look into that as well and find out what that does. Do they accelerate? Do they maintain a speed? I'm not sure of that. I'll have to look into that. They probably do accelerate, but how that refers to all aeroplanes dropping their nose. It can't be gravity. I don't know if you kind of get that. If gravity is pulling, and obviously I don't believe in gravity, relative density and buoyancy makes more sense to me, along with other things that make sense to me, electromagnetism and that. Just to say what's up and what's down. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but
That guy had one question for me. He said, tell me why the moon, I see only half of the moon. That's because the Earth is hiding the moon, right? No. We see the moon and the sun up for at least 2 or 3 weeks of the month. And the sun and the moon in the same place in the sky, that cannot be a shadow thrown by the Earth.
Right.
You didn't want to hear any more than that. But it's...
that's because you're crazy.
Yeah, what a crazy observation.
Yeah.
What, you see the sun, the moon during the daytime?
Yeah.
With the background sky looking the same color as the daytime sky?
And an eclipse with the sun and the moon there at the same time. Yeah.
You're welcome. This is not a spinning rock.
Got to keep checking my my phone that I've still got power going into it. Yes, I do. Yeah, there's lots of things that we don't know, and we're only asking questions about. You know, like so. But that's not the point. We should be looking at the things that we do know, and for those who are interested in flat Earth, but haven't. But that are globe believers, if that's the case, you should be asking about about the things that we have learned, that we do know, and challenge them ones. But and even with my plane meme, to ask yourself some questions about that, a little bit of critical thinking, some reasoning. Logical reasoning, and throw your egos and your dummies out your pram. Don't throw your dummy out your pram. Yeah, but to just challenge yourself. And I put it down to don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what others might think. Because I really don't care. You know, like, I'm too stubborn. Yes, and also that, Stuart. Well done, Tapper. Yes, it will not be tolerated. Right, let me pass this back to... Do you want to hold this again?
All right, mate.
So I can say hello to... I keep checking their battery, because obviously we're going to disappear pretty soon.
Oh, well, I've got a spare battery pack in my pocket. So
Oh no, it's not the battery pack. Every once in a while, just click that button. I don't know why. Sometimes
we lost refreshing.
Yeah, sometimes the battery just turns off from charging, but it's charging at the moment. I'm just going to quickly say hello.
Oh, I see. Jason's wife. Earth is not a spinning ball. We've been lied to. It feels to me like right now that there's more people down in that part of town than we are right down here. So, all things being equal, I would remove this. 37 in the chat. Where have you gone? Oh, look at that. I look a little bit windswept. People are going to go, oh, why is that windswept dude trying to give me a flyer? Is he a threat? He must be a threat. He's got paper in his hand. Paper with information. Can you say your website name? Yeah, sure, Richie. It's lovetruthsovereignty.com. Lovetruthsovereignty.com. I haven't really done enough articles on that. I have written a few things on there. Apparently, according to the webmaster, is Glyph Greg, another flat earth brother. He's helped me out a lot with all of that. I got a flyer on this, some information, guys. Free your mind. We've been misled from cradle to grave years ago. LoveTruthSovereignty.com, and there's a link there to my email if you want to email. If someone wants to email me. Oh, that lady just got snapped taking a photo. It feels like she's just been punished. Oh, Harry's got hold of her now. She's in trouble. Hey, bro. Any of these evidences you can refute?
Do you mind answering one question?
Yeah.
What's your highest educational achievement?
I got a degree in university for business management.
Yeah, well, that kind of exposure.
You mean I need more indoctrination?
Yeah,
you know that the word doctor has got indoctrination in it?
You need to understand physics.
You go and put your fat over my phone.
Yeah, we can take... I'm going to ask you to film me.
Oh, you're in public. Off you go. Off you go. Earth is flat. We cannot prove water to be curving. Genius, why don't you tell me what is the formula for curvature? Do you know how fast you're spinning? Or how many generations ago you were an ape? Yes, you were an ape once upon a time, weren't you? Believer in evolution. Believer in a Big Bang creation. That's insanity! Insanity, I tell you! Excuse me. As we don't come from apes, do not live on a spinning rock. That's all lies designed to minimize you and minimize your children. Trust me when I tell you that. I know this to be sure. Earth is not a spinning rock. You cannot live on a spinning rock, people. This is not a fun fair. And rocks like Saturn, Mars, Mercury, these things are just floating on what? Time and space? Oh, heavens above, don't believe in time and space as a blanket for gravity? No, I do not. No, I do not. You are lied to from cradle to grave, bath. And did you know that when you run the bath, the water will be level? No matter how poorly the bath is installed, the water will be level. That's because water will always find a level, just like sea level. Yes, we have a sea level, friends, and that's because water always settles level. except from the tears of the globe believer who doesn't want his religion impugned, who doesn't want an honest examination of his belief system. Let me tell you, the Vatican has never been more powerful, with NASA working towards the same aim of minimizing you, of retarding you, of keeping you in the mind of the small, evolved ape. I could do with more people for this little piece, actually. I don't really like doing it when there's not a lot of people around, because I sound a little bit like, well, mad. Earth is not a spinning rock. We do not live on a floating ball in a vacuum of space. That is all made up Disneyland poppycock designed to keep you simple, to keep you in the child mind, to make you believe you are nothing but a materialist consumer, a simple device designed to be controlled by a government, designed to be controlled by a religion, designed to be controlled by scientism that has you thinking people are standing upside down on a spinning ball. Like I said, I could do with more people here. Anyway, that's that guy inspired me. That guy inspired me by pushing his hat in the phone. Like,
is that what he did?
yeah, he pushed his hat in the phone. Like, I can't, like he can invade my space. Fucking criminal.
So I seem to have upset someone today, and you've upset. I think you've upset two people.
At least two. Have I upset you, Bath? I hope I have. Go home and research flat Earth. Go home and begin to think for yourself. While you believe everything you get told in nursery school, in Sunday school, in the prison camp called school, you will never be free. You will continue to contribute to this energy harvesting system that has you pitted against your brother, has you pitted against your own gender, has you pitted against yourself, hating yourself such that you would vote for more control of your movement. More penalties for going on an aeroplane. More penalties for even breathing. Oh, you're not free to breathe anymore. You have to ask permission. It won't be long before you have to ask permission to have a child. And now, if you want a child and you can't afford it, you have to give it to the government. The government wants your mind, body, and more importantly, I'm here to tell you, your soul is on the line. Don't pay the ferryman. Don't even fix a price. Not till he gets you to the other side, and let me tell you, he does not want to take you to the other side. He wants to keep you small and in prison. Think for yourself, do not trust the government. Research flat Earth. Research how 9/11 was done. Research how you were locked down in 2020 on a bunch of faulty data. Intentionally faulty data. All right. Yeah, they locked you down on a lie. And guess what? 95% of people fell in line on day one. Fell in line like good sheep on day one. Locked down and shut out. Oh yes. Most of you locked down. And most of you shut your friends out of your life because the government and the TV and your mobile phone told you to lock it down. That's fear. They love using fear to control you. Keep you small. Take a flyer, do your own research. We cannot prove we live on a spinning rock, and we cannot prove any apes are going to give birth to children. Can you imagine the first black man and woman giving birth to a white child? What insanity! Can you imagine the first ape giving birth to the first human? More poppycock! Do not believe the bullshit you're taught in school is designed to minimize you. Free your mind! Don't go back into lockdown! So, you know, a little bit of energy there from the Peanut Gallery. But you guys need to share this information. Thank you. You guys need to share this video. What's going on? Like, the view count is... I've got a third of the subscribers that Jason has, and I was getting bigger numbers a few weeks ago before my strike. So I'm pushing you guys, you know? You want me to stand here and yell at the people? No, you don't necessarily want that, but I'm doing that. And I'm taking that courage, and these guys are standing here doing their shit. So what are you doing at home? Are you sharing this out? Are you spreading this word? Because we need people to share this, spread this out, put it on their social media. I don't give a rat's backside if people see me doing this. I don't give a rat's backside, but what are you doing to stand in your courage and press this message out to people? Yeah, they're gonna laugh. Listen to you, hear what people say to me. But if you really believe in this, if you're really sincere about, wow, we need to get this truth out, if that's what you care about, then you need to share this stuff out, man. People need to be woken the fuck up. I tell you what, we have got work to do. And the masses are sleeping walking into another lockdown. We are walking ourselves into a prison, my dear friends, brothers and sisters. We are walking ourselves into our own prison. A zoo for mankind. That's what I see coming down the line. A zoo for mankind, a 15-minute city, and a permission slip to be able to go out of your own front door. What is wrong with you? Where's your courage? You claim to be so courageous, and yet where are you? In 2020, you whimpered and went home. You locked down your business. You stopped seeing your grandma because you were fearful. Fearful! Why were you fearful? Because the TV told you so. Because Matt Hancock told you so. Because Boris the Tool Johnson told you to stay home. You stayed home. And that should be a shame on you, but you do not know. Because you do not realize that the propaganda machine has been working on you since long before the German Nazi propaganda worked on them. It's the same thing. See someone try to rub out my artwork here. But it spreads it quite well. They should use, I mean, they're not that smart, but they should use water. It's really effective. Pardon me. I'm going to flyer these folk. Folks, have a flyer.
Okay, we'll have one flyer.
All right, just the one. Thank you. Where do you come from? Do you mind me asking? You're not English.
Yeah, well, we're from here.
I mean, maybe born here, but your parents and that. Because let me tell you that the earth, all cultures all knew that the earth is not a ball, that it's a flat plane. The ancient cultures knew this, but we've lost sight of that because we were so well educated, so well indoctrinated. God is within you, and the earth is not a spinning rock. You do not come from apes. All of that is hogwash designed to minimize you and keep you squabbling with your neighbor. Awesome, 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 awesome. Love it. Okay, test me on any of this stuff. Do you speak English? No, not a little bit. Okay, well, take a photo. Are you Spanish or Italian? La terra piatta. La terra piatta. I was in Italy in 2019 before the lockdowns, and we're going around there on a tour saying the globe is a lie. We can't prove this. So that's why I know La terra piatta, because I did write it there in the streets and stuff. But we can't prove that we live on a ball. I used to, up until age 47, I thought we lived on a ball and that there was life on Mars. I believed that. Now I know that I can't prove any of that, and that stuff all came to me from the television. And the television is a tool for mind control. So you've got to do your own research. Please take my flyer. Thank you and have a great holiday. Bye-bye. Ciao. Ciao. Is it? Ciao. Ciao. Whoopsie. I lost my flyer. Oh. See that 1,000-mile-an-hour wind from this rotation of the Earth, apparent rotation of the Earth. It pulled that away, but fortunately Coriolis came into effect, and it just kept it close to me, close by. Take a flyer, guys, for your mind. We've been lied to about who we are, where we are. That's why we lock down when the government tells us to, which is not meant to be how it happens. Good day, gentlemen. We've been lied to about who we are and where we are. Free your mind. Don't buy into the bullshit of the globe lie. Are we close to
today? Start
calling
saying
it a day?
goodbyes.
Guys, it's close o'clock, and I spent the last 10 years trying to prove we live on a spinning ball. It's a lie. Yeah, good. Well, it's your papers are in order. Yes. He's mad as a hatter. I wonder if you're not talking about me, Richie, but the day is an actual legend. I thank you. Who's that? My eyesight, I must admit, is a bit poor these days, so it's hard to read the names because the text is lighter than the actual text. Yeah, thank you. Is that Jim Vortex? That's a cool name. The sane person in the asylum. Yes, we have lost our minds. That's why we believe we live on a spinning ball. Spinning balls do not work in reality. See, there's a guy taking a photo there. I tell you what, you see this, while it doesn't rain, we'll stay here for quite a while, actually. And maybe even at work tomorrow, the council will call someone in to free your mind, guys. We can't prove we live on a globe. It all comes from Disneyland. It's all NASA fakery, CGI. Fake. I tell you what, Earth is not a spinning rock. We do not evolve from monkeys. That's all a lie to design to take your divinity from you, your sovereignty.
What are you smoking, mate?
Well, nothing at the moment, but I would if I had something nice to smoke. I try not to take. I try not to take too much poison from the system. So if you can grow your own, that's the best way, man.
Fair enough.
Have a good one. So anyway, I was just saying goodbye because soon we're going to end the stream. Thanks for that. So Vikings here and Jason, I have enjoyed it here actually, and there's been a reasonably good footfall, and so I can't complain actually. I really have to say it's been nice in Bath. Hey guys, we've been lied to about who we are, where we are. That's why we go to war with each other, because we think that we are evolved monkeys, but we are not evolved monkeys. We are created perfect by the Most High. You give what you're made.
I'll probably use it for roach, man.
I wouldn't use glossy paper for roach. I'd prefer to go with something less shiny. No, I'm not on any drugs right now. Hi. Yeah, you look like an extremely intelligent young man, if I can be so bold as to say that. And you got some good questions? You got any questions? No? Pamphlet and he's on. That's all I need. Take the pamphlet. Take the knowledge if you can. Guys, it's been really fun, and
Say goodbye to everyone yet.
Zol.
Who's
Someone said Zol, which is South African for weed.
Oh right, okay.
Zol is the language we use there. Great going, you three. That's Kimmy, eh? So
Yeah,
Kimmy,
yeah.
nice to see you. I hope you and Bob are well. Made me think about the other Bob that lost his story.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Been a good day. You enjoyed stuff?
Yeah, thoroughly. And it's been really thrilling to have Jason of the D family right here, you know, because we haven't done this for a while.
No, I was saying that before. You know, like I'd like to get my new banners out and we'll hit the streets. But
I'm going to whip his out. No, I got mine out today. So.
Did you get yours out?
Yeah, and I got Harry's old ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so who knows? Future will be coming very shortly, and we'll decide what we
See,
do.
I've had this cunning plan all along. If I can just get out there long enough, I'll get these fucking
We'll get
giants
these
back in the
bastards in.
field. You know what I'm saying? You know? That's what we
I
need.
tell you what, I forgot his name. Is it Ross Hessler?
I know that name, but I can't tell you where.
Well, he's got a set of banners, and he's been out there on the streets.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we need some video from you, Ross.
Does he have a channel? Is it just Ross Hessler?
Yeah.
I know that
and
name,
he's on Facebook, but I did say to him, you know, like let's get some video footage because yeah, he's out there doing it. We first met him in Birmingham. We were doing a flat earth in Birmingham, and he come out to support us and that. I'm sure it was Birmingham. So,
Last year in Birmingham or previous?
No, this is like going back in the very early days.
Yeah.
You know.
We had Adam of the Meakin family join us last year in Birmingham for a little while. I remember him turning up.
Mr. Meakin himself.
Yeah, bringing some flies.
Yeah. Right, guys. See you soon.
Yeah. So yes, as you said, see you soon. And next week I'll be on the Trinity 4. So if you haven't got yesterday, right? You know, we were having about 60 people viewing, and about 600 people or 500 people had viewed by the time we ended the stream yesterday. So I went home thinking I probably picked up a few subscribers.
Yeah.
How many do you think I got? None. No freaking subscribers. What the
Come
hell?
on, guys.
What's going on?
Yes.
Trinity 4 on YouTube, or the Trinities, which is my backup channel, which has only got 300, so I couldn't go live on that one. But come on, man, what are you doing? It's not going to cost you anything.
I'll be promoting every time I see it.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
But look forward to hopefully some more this year. With you, Jason.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. I will get some holiday. What's he doing? No. I
he's
will.
helping
I'm
us
sure
out
I'll
there.
sort out some holiday.
And this guy there, you might like my rope. They're military grade strings that I'm using on that. Oh, he's just trying to read it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play. And you know what? We know that the system will screw these people down. Anyway, so I'll end with just a quick. Should I say hello to Carol? And I'll just film this then. As a way out. This is pretty large. As you can see, people can't help themselves but be drawn to it and get annoyed. So often. Oh, hang on a minute. There's some thieving going on here. Maybe they're pals. Yeah, they're pals. It's hard to believe. Easier to laugh. It's easier to fool a man than convince him he's been fooled. Mark Twain. Easier to fool a man than convince him he's been fooled. That's how it goes. Friends, thanks for stopping by.